Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle podcast coming up next. We got the Professor Jordan Tyler's in the building. We're going to talk that talk coming up next.
Your mindset heading into Sunday.
We didn't come here to play games. We are the champions.
Yeah.
And nobody is taking these belts from us.
You want the best? You're looking at her. This ain't just a sport, it's a lifestyle. Welcome to the Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle podcast. We are the champions of wrestling talk.
This is the Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle podcast, your home for real pro wrestling talk.
Coming up next on Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle podcast, we chop it up with the Professor Jordan Tyler. Trust me, this one's gonna be off the chain. Stay tuned, coming up next. Make sure you hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, we the champs. Thanks for listening. We gone.
Now, here's your host for Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle podcast, the insightful Scott Bars, wrestling media in the dynamic salute, Darkwing Dub.
We back. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell for more content. Happy New Year! First episode of the new year. Let's give a round of applause. Man. We got the Professor in the building, Jordan Tyler. Salute. Yeah. Give them an air. Yeah. So, I know me and Dub was talking. I know Dub has a lot of stuff to ask you question-wise or whatever, so I'm going to let him give the icebreaker and start off first and everything, and then I'll tag in when time to.
Cool. Well, let's just do this. Let's do a quick introduction of the Professor Jordan Tyler. Tell people a little bit about you.
Yeah, so the professor, Dr. Jordan Tyler, is the smartest man in professional wrestling, right? I'm better than everybody, I'm smarter than everybody, and I'm bigger than most people too, right? Biggest brain, biggest biceps, the Professor Dr. Jordan Tyler, baby.
I like that. So, needless to say, you're a heel.
Yeah. I mean, it's really hard to get people to like me. You know, it's when you come out there and you tell the crowd how much better you are than them and how much smarter you are than them. And then the fact that it's a shoot, I do have a PhD. I legitimately am a professor. And they hear the way I talk and the way I present myself, they know it's not just somebody playing an act. It ain't a gimmick. They know it's all real. I legitimately am a professor. It's very hard to come off as a face. I think I was a face one time, and it was at a strip club in Tennessee.
How'd that work out?
well. So, the way that happened was it wasn't School of Morton. It was associated with School of Morton, Ricky Morton's school. They were running a show at some strip club in Tennessee. I think it was called like the Mouse's Ear or something like that. And some people on Facebook were like real mad about it, saying how like, oh, wrestling's for families. It shouldn't be at a strip club. And I was like, I wasn't even booked. And I just got on Facebook and was like, look, wrestling is for everybody, but sometimes there can be wrestling shows that aren't for everybody. And there's nothing wrong with it being at a strip club. And there's nothing wrong with sex work. And you people are all assholes for acting like there is. And I got booked for it. And then I came out and I was supposed to work heel. We called the whole match that I was going to work heel. And I got out and everybody cheered for me because it turns out when you're supporting strippers and you wrestle at a strip club, they're going to like
So you're better than everybody. You're smarter than everybody. It kind of reminds me of one popular WWE character she goes by the name of Bianca Belair, but she plays a babyface. Explain how being the toughest and strongest and all the EST stuff, and in your case being the smartest, the strong. How do you think that she makes that work as a babyface? Because that is straight heel work to me.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I never thought of that. That's a really good point. I think, I think it probably has a lot to do with the look, right? I mean, it's not just that I say I'm smarter and better than you, but like the bald head, the mustache, like it's like we were talking before the show. I look like Dr. Robotnik. I feel like somebody you don't like, right? And when someone like Bianca Belair calls herself the EST and she goes out there and she shows you she's EST and she is better than you, right? She's not saying that she's better than you, right? She's just saying she's the best, right? She's better than everybody in the ring. She's not telling the crowd she's better than them. I'm telling the crowd I'm better than them, right? When I walk through the curtain, I always say, like, you're not gonna get flips from me. You're not gonna get crazy stuff in the ring. But once I hit that curtain, I'm gonna start running my mouth, and I'm not gonna stop running my mouth until I go back through the curtain. I don't care if I get pinned 1, 2, 3 and I end the match looking up at the lights. I'm gonna roll out of the ring, and whenever I go back through the curtain, the whole time I'm gonna be talking shit and yelling stuff at the fans and telling them I'm still better than them, right? So I think with someone like Bianca Belair, she's just letting you know that like she's the best in the business. I'm telling the fans I'm better than you, and they don't like to hear that, right? And I think that's what makes me a heel, right? And I think, and also Bianca Belair, like, I mean, to look at her, she is an attractive person. I mean, I think I'm attractive, but like I said, I look like a jerk.
So you say that, and then as you're talking, it reminds me of somebody else. Who else says that they're better than you and talks a lot of shit? MJF.
Ah, you know, I get that too. And you know what makes me really angry is that I can't use the I'm better than you and you know it, because man, that just that's not just doesn't just fit my character. I actually feel that way. You know, like like the reason I'm such a good heel is because it's all genuine, right? It's I actually feel that way. And it makes me upset that I can't use that, but I love the way MJF works his character. I think we have a lot of similar views on wrestling, and that's that, a lot of these guys, they'll go to their gimmick table after a show or an intermission or something like that, and all of a sudden that heel is not, that guy's not there anymore because he wants to sell you a shirt and he wants to take a picture with you. I don't care. You're getting the same guy that's in the ring, right? I walk out to my gimmick table and every time I yell, I can't make you smarter, but I can make you look a hell of a lot smarter if you buy one of my shirts, right? And the whole time people were walking past my gimmick table and they're walking down to some face's table, I'm yelling at them, right? I'm telling them, what are you doing? Buy my shirt, right? They walk past, I don't want you to buy my shirt anyway. And MJF is very much the same way, right? If you see videos of him in public, he is MJF. Anytime he can be seen, he is MJF, right? I've never met the guy. I don't know what he's like privately, but I can imagine he's not that jerk, right? I approach it the same way. I keep it on 100% of the time when I'm around fans, because I feel like that gets them into it more, right? If the guy that's in the ring that's an asshole to them and pointing his finger in their face and saying, I'm better than you, you know it, da 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 da. And then you come to my table and I say, oh, thank you so much for supporting me. Thanks for coming out. What are we doing? We just killed the whole thing. No, I'm going to tell you, I'm still better than you. I still hate you, but give me your $25 and take a t-shirt. And I see the parallels to MJF. I really enjoy MJF's character. I think he's one of the best in the business for sure.
So needless to say, you're a big proponent on keeping kayfabe alive.
Yeah, man. Like, this is because that's what makes it fun, right? And I also don't think it's a matter of keeping kayfabe alive. I think kayfabe has changed, right? Back in the day, it was, the heels couldn't ride with the faces. They couldn't show up to the show at the same time, right? When people found out that who was it? Was it Duggan and somebody else was riding together? They got arrested for weed or something like that. It was a big deal, right? That was that old kayfabe of this guy's actually a bad guy. This guy's actually a good guy. With the internet and WWE Unreal and everything that we know about the wrestling business now, everyone knows it's a work. Everyone knows it's a show. Everyone knows we are characters. So how can you get people to suspend disbelief if you're gonna show that, right? If you're gonna if you're going to make them not able to suspend disbelief because you're pulling the curtain away from the character and you're showing who you really are. I think kayfabe has changed. I think kayfabe now is that little bit where the fan, the smark, the mark, whatever you want to call them, that little bit where they go, "Ooh, was that real?" Right? It's like those moments. Like, for instance, I still don't know if CM Punk actually hates Seth Rollins because it's believable, right? That's kayfabe to me, and that's the way I like to keep it. Right? I like to keep my character, and I like to keep that essence of people saying, like, man, I don't know if that's actually him or not. Like, I think he might actually feel this way. And as long as you can keep them feel that with just that little bit, that's all you need, is that little bit of doubt of them, that little bit of doubt for them thinking it's an act. And that's how you get them hooked. And that's how you get them to boo you. And that's how you get them emotionally invested, right? I like storytelling, and wrestling is the best form of storytelling on the planet. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you like. There is no better form of storytelling on the planet, especially live. And there's no way you can make that story have an emotional tie to it if you're not suspending disbelief. And as long as fans know that it's a work, we have to find a different way to make them suspend that disbelief. And I think it is that little bit of them saying, like, "Ooh, I don't know if he actually feels that way. That might be serious," right? That's how I see kayfabe.
I'll be honest with you. I'm right there with you. Like, do these guys really hate each other, or is just like I don't? I felt the same way with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. Also, like, these guys have to legitimately hate each other.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel that same way about just about anybody who interacts with Logan Paul.
Yeah.
Because as a human being, this is a shoot. As a human being, I don't see how anybody could possibly like that guy. As a person, not as the Logan Paul character in WWE. I'm talking about the guy that's been on YouTube for the last however many years, the guy that went into the suicide forest in Japan. How do you like that guy? Right? So I wholeheartedly believe that there are guys on that roster that work with him that do not like him. And it makes it so much better if you actually don't like somebody when you're cutting a promo on them. Because let's face it, a lot of wrestlers aren't good at that acting part of it, at that promo where they need to show you their emotion and they need to show you they really don't like this guy, but it comes off as I'm going to say this line and then, I don't like you. But think about any time you actually don't like somebody and you're actually like going after them. You can tell. When you hear a fight in a bar or a restaurant, it's real. And if you actually dislike somebody, it makes that promo a lot easier to cut.
Right.
I agree. I'm also a mark for a good heel anyway. So hearing you say that, I was like, "Ooh, that's my kind of guy."
Yeah, I've been that way my whole life too. I mean, I was always the guy, especially as I got older, going to wrestling shows before I started working, because I didn't start wrestling until I was in my 30s. And I would go to wrestling shows, and I liked messing with the kids and rooting for the bad guy. That was my favorite thing to do, was to mess with kids and root for the bad guy. I'd take my little cousins; they'd all be rooting for John Cena. They'd be, "Let's go Cena." I was chanting "Cena sucks." You know what I mean? Like, that's what I enjoy doing, because that's the most interesting part of the story, right? Personally, I think baby faces a lot of the time are just corny, right? For instance, we were talking before this, before we started here. There's a football game on right now. Mendoza, the quarterback for IU. Everybody loves this guy. No doubt about it. He is a good quarterback. My God, do I find him insufferable. Every time I see him do an interview, every time I see him do a press conference, everything he says is the most white meat, baby face bullshit on the planet. Like, "Oh, I'm just so happy for my guys, and we fought through so much adversity, and I just want to thank God for what we're doing." Buddy, give it a break. Like, that's not real, right? It's not real. And if it is real, good for you. You know what I mean? I wrestle with a guy who is a very white meat baby face. I think he's a future star. His name's Jimmy House. He is about as white meat baby face as it is. But the thing is, it's authentic. It's real. You can tell he's a genuine good guy. But when I see stuff like Mendoza and these other like all this other babyface stuff, it feels corny to me. It's like, who finds any fun in that?
I'm the same way. I find this dude outrageously. He gets on my nerves. Like
Yes.
more than any heel that I could find on TV or babyface. Like Cody Rhodes, he's corny, but I find Fernando Mendoza like I just want to grab you by your throat.
Yeah. No, I get it. Look, I went to WrestleMania 40. I took my ex-girlfriend's dad to WrestleMania 40. And the babyface run was a corny white meat babyface run, but when Cody won that title, I cried because I was emotionally invested in it. But when you see somebody like Mendoza from IU cutting his promos, because that's what it is. It's a promo, right? Like it's an interview, it's a promo. It's corny. And I find myself, I hate that the game's going the way it is right now, because I just want to see the guy lose, because I just find him to be so, I don't know, it's embarrassing. Maybe I'm an asshole. I don't know.
No, because I'm right there with you. So if you're an asshole, I guess that makes both of us an asshole.
You know what? The world needs assholes, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to go back to the beginning because one of my questions was going to be what came first, professional wrestling or school? You've already answered that. So what made you, after getting you had your undergrad, you had your bachelor's, you got the master's, and you have a PhD. After going through all that school, what made you want to go into professional wrestling?
Man, I always wanted to be a wrestler. From the time I was a kid, I always wanted to be a wrestler, right? I got goosebumps just now talking about it, right? Like when I was a kid, I had an Ultimate Warrior wrestling buddy, right? And I had a CD player, and I had like that WWF, the music volume, whatever, right? And man, it was an Ultimate Warrior wrestling buddy, but he was whoever I was wrestling in that match, right? And I'd do a little entrance with him. And all the way down to like, whatever wrestler I was at the time, I would change my like whatever pants or whatever I was wearing to match the wrestler that I was, right? If I was Shawn Michaels, I would wear some red pants to make it as close to Shawn Michaels as I was. If I was Stone Cold Steve Austin, I was wearing little black underoos wrestling in my bedroom, right? I always wanted to do it. I remember as a real little kid, everybody had trampoline wrestling, and I wrestled. I always hung out with the older kids. I was always like, in elementary school, hanging out with junior high kids, and junior high, hanging out with the high school kids. And we had a bunch of belts. They were made of felt and like actual belts. And I won all of them one day. I don't know how it happened. We all just decided I was going to win all the belts. And I remember riding my bike home to show my mom all these belts I won. And I was so proud of it. Right. I always wanted to be a wrestler, but there was also, this was the 90s, early 2000s. I didn't know how to be a wrestler. I didn't know how to go to wrestling school. Right. There was a rumor in my hometown that Doink the Clown had a wrestling school in like a neighboring city. Right. But like, that was just a rumor. Yeah. But it was one of those things where it was like one of the Doink the Clowns. Right. It wasn't even like it's Matt Bourne, but it also wasn't real. It was just one of those little tales that goes around school, So like, and it was the 90s. It was the era of the steroid guys, the big guys, right? And I've never been a big dude, right? I'm 5'10", 5'11", depending on the convenience store I'm leaving. And I was always real skinny growing up, and it just didn't seem like a possibility for me. And the fact of the matter was, I grew up in Section 8 housing on food stamps. I needed to get out somehow. And I was told my whole life, the only way you can get out is going to college. So that's what I did. I didn't know what I was going to do with a college degree, but I knew I was going to college. So I went to college. While I was there, I met a professor who was like, hey, you seem to really take to this sociology and criminology stuff really well. Have you thought about grad school? And I was like, it sounds great, but like, I'm not trying to go into any more student loan debt. Like, I can't do it. And he was like, well, what if I told you that whenever you go for a PhD program, they actually waive your tuition and you work as a research assistant or a teaching assistant, and you get paid essentially to get your master's degree and your PhD. And I said, damn it, sign me up. So I applied to some schools, but I didn't take the GRE. It's basically the SAT to get into grad school. I didn't take it all that seriously studying because everything in school had always come easily to me. Learned in my 30s I have ADHD. My school was just my hyper focus. And I never got I never got diagnosed because the way they always diagnose kids was if you did poorly in school. Well, I was so wrapped up in getting good grades that I did well in school because of my ADHD, and I never knew I had it. Right. So ended up, I went to grad school, got my PhD, and I came out. And when I was getting my PhD, I actually was going to do my dissertation on underground wrestling, independent wrestling. I had read a book. I might even have it here somewhere. It's called Wrestling for Recognition. It's actually a really good book. It's an ethnography by a sociologist at Duke. His name was R. Tyson Smith, and he basically went to a school. It's all anonymous because like whenever you do research, you have to keep the people you interview and stuff anonymous because you don't want to reveal their identities. But any wrestling fan who reads this book could be like, oh, that's Johnny Rods. You know what I mean? Like academics didn't have any idea who it was, but me as a wrestling fan reading it, I was like, oh, he's going to Johnny Rods. And that gave me the idea. I was like, man, what if he did it from a fan standpoint where he was like going and watching these guys train and interviewing them and shit like that. And I was like, man, what if I chase the dream? What if I become a professional wrestler and I do my dissertation on professional wrestling? So I found a guy. I did my PhD at Purdue University. So I found a guy in West Lafayette, Indiana. His name was Billy Rock. He actually trained Ruby Riott, Heidi Lovelace at the time, right? Contacted him to go train with him. Ended up having a miscommunication. Didn't show up on the day he thought I was going to show up. Ended up not being able to train. Didn't go to wrestling school. Changed my entire dissertation topic. Didn't become a wrestler, right? Finished my PhD. Moved to Charlotte, North Carolina to be a professor. And that's when I found that George South had a wrestling school in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I said, well, hell, I'm a professor now. I have my shoot job. I have a whole career now. What else am I going to do? And I said, I had the other guy who was in my department, the only other criminologist, was also a huge wrestling fan. And I told him, I was like, man, I'm thinking about going to wrestling school. And he was like, dude, do it. You have to do it. So he would come into my office, and that's all we would do is we would just workshop the gimmick, right? Going to be a professor gimmick. All right, what's my finishing move going to be? PhDDT. Okay, what else am I going to do? I'm going to do the figure 4.0. We're going to do the educated elbow, right? Everything was built. Everything that I came up with the character was built with that guy in my office. And then I went and trained with George South, and honestly, I didn't know anybody in Charlotte, North Carolina whenever I moved there because I moved there by myself. Met some of my best friends to this day training at George South's wrestling school. And man, I caught the bug. That's what once you get in that ring, it's like, there's nothing like it, man. There's nothing like hearing a crowd cheer or boo and knowing that you have them in the palm of your hand. Like those moments when like you're working in a match and you maybe have something called, you know where you're supposed to go, but you can feel their energy and they want you to go somewhere else. And you know that you can work them into something. It's like, I don't know. I don't think there's a drug that can equate to it, man. So that's the long-winded way of, I always wanted to do it. I didn't have the confidence to do it as a kid or the know-how. But once I was an adult and the internet existed with the information on where I could go to get trained, why not do it? Why not do it? So I did it. And then I'm in Texas training at RWA with Dustin Rhodes. And I still love it. I don't know when I'm going to stop. I'm 37 now. I told myself we'll reevaluate at 40, see how we feel.
So before I pass it along to my boy up there, you're a heel. So thinking of right now, professional wrestling, who are your top heels in the game right now?
You mentioned one earlier is MJF, right? I think if not number 1A, Dom Mysterio. I think Dom Mysterio is the best. He's the best heel in wrestling. Nobody gets heat like Dom Mysterio. And I was a Dom Mysterio hater at the beginning. I hated him coming in with his dad tag teaming because I hated that white meat baby face shit, right? But now, put all the gold on Dom Mysterio. I want him to have all of it. I love watching Dom Mysterio. As much as I hate to say it, Logan Paul. Logan Paul is a good heel. The problem is how much of that is X-Pac heat and how much how much of that is right? Because I genuinely feel like I would be happier if that guy was not in wrestling. But damn it, do I like rooting against him, right? So I'd say MJF, I'd say Dom Mysterio, and I think Logan Paul is right up there with him. As much as I hate to say it.
There's two others that I would like to throw in there. See what you think.
Go for it.
Because, like I said, I'm a mark for a good heel.
Hmm.
So number one, Gunther,
Yep.
and number two, Ethan Page.
Yes, yeah. So I haven't watched a whole lot of Ethan Page's stuff recently. I watched his stuff with Ricky because I trained with Ricky. I think I probably see Ethan Page as a heel for a different reason because of that stuff. Because because of all that stuff. But yeah, Gunther for sure. I mean, the way they got him that heat with Cena, I mean, that's just he's gonna be one of the top heels for forever, right? I don't know how you ever turn the guy babyface at this point. And it's again, like I said earlier with myself, I have a look. Like I have a hateable look. Gunther has a hateable look.
Yeah.
Right? There's something about the way he carries himself. There's something about the smug look on his face. And I don't think you can change that. Right? And so I would have to agree. Gunther is definitely up there for sure.
Especially when he's like, now that he's retired, John Cena, and he does the whole thing and then gives that laugh. Oh my gosh. I'll be like, bro, I just want to.
Yeah, he works that perfectly. And it's one of those heel gimmicks where, he doesn't say it out loud the way I say it out loud, but it's I'm better than you kind of air about him. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, you believe it. So you hate him because you're like, damn, this guy really is like, he could whoop my ass. He's better than me, right? Like you feel that. And when you feel like somebody actually thinks that they're above you, you're going to genuinely dislike that person, which is the way my entire Instagram is essentially.
We're not going to reveal that just yet because I definitely got to get into that. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah. Speaking of heels, there's one heel in mind that my boy will tell you is one of my favorite heels because I am a good mark for a heel as well, and that's Darius Carter. You ever heard of Darius Carter?
Oh, I've heard of Darius Carter for sure. Yes. When I first started wrestling in North Carolina, mm-hmm. He was with Rayhan when he was Montana Black. What was the group they called themselves?
Ugly Gang.
No, that's Rayhan's now. It was him. It was Savannah Evans was with him. Keith Mack was with them at the time. Shit. I forget what they called themselves now, but man, they were wrestling on PWX a lot. Mm-hmm. And that was like, man, I loved that was what kind of made me fall in love with independent wrestling because I never really watched independent wrestling whenever I was, younger because I'd only watched what was on TV. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I haven't seen a lot of Darius's stuff recently, but man, back then I loved that stuff. Loved it.
Yeah. You gotta watch some of his recent stuff. He's stepped it up to a whole nother level of diabolical.
Yeah.
He's right now. He's currently the Ashe Wrestling champion over at Ashe Wrestling. Speaking of Ugly Gang, Rayhan is the Wrestling Evolution heavyweight champion. Jordan.
Man, Rayhan, that's a guy who I love his entire career, man. I've loved everything he did.
That's all.
The Montana Black stuff was great. Yeah. Cream Pie Poppy is genius. I show people that don't even like wrestling Cream Pie Poppy. I'm like, you gotta see this. You gotta see this shit this guy's doing.
Mm-hmm. Nah, Rayhan, that's our guy right there. The whole Ugly Gang, those are our peoples. I know Jordan and Zay Vega, they're the tag team champions over there too. So they're doing some big things. So, but yeah, Darius is definitely, to me, like he's right up there as far as heel work. And my boy can attest to this too. Randy Orton heel stuff is whew,
All time.
yeah,
That's what the Randy Orton heel stuff is like. I mean, that's that sinister something is off about this guy heel, right? That's my favorite thing about heels too, is like there's the different kinds, right? Randy Orton is the dangerous psychopath heel. Those are, I mean, I find entertainment and fun in every single kind of heel that there is. Chicken shit heels can be fun, right? The erudite scholar that I go by, like, right, that's fun to me too. But that, like, this guy might snap and kill everybody in sight heel. I mean, that's scary. And Randy Orton is one of the best of all time, right? I mean, he's not heel right now, right? He's face now, yeah.
Yeah, he's a face right now. Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, you're talking all time heels, and that's in line with one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, which is Jake the Snake Roberts, right? It's a very calculated heel character. That was one of the things I liked about Jake, was everything he did was very calculated.
You know who else is a great heel in her own right too, is Blake Monroe, aka Mariah May. I thought she was a great heel too.
So I haven't watched her work in NXT, but I've watched her AEW work, and I mean, she was good in AEW, but I haven't seen much of her NXT work.
Now her NXT work is actually pretty good. She actually most likely was going to get called up soon. I've been reading some rumors and vlogs saying that she might get called up soon. So she probably not going to be on NXT too much longer, because they doing a massive call up of talent, and stacking, Monday Night Raw and then stacking SmackDown, because they need some fresh talent up there, because.
And if we're talking about that too, we got to give a shout out to one of those Carolina boys, and Javon Evans, formerly.
Oh yeah.
That was one of the dudes. When I first started training in North Carolina, I told the guy that was a professor with me. First time I trained with Malachi, I think he was like 14, and I was like, "Look, I'm telling you, you need to go watch this kid now, because he's going to be a star, and he's making a name for himself." And if we want to talk heels and NXT heels, Saquon Sugars, formerly known as Lucky Ali, I think that guy is going to be another top star in the business. I mean, he's a heel there with what he's doing in NXT, but he's one of those guys that he can easily switch from heel to babyface and back. He can do anything you want. I can't wait for that guy to start getting his flowers.
Yeah, what I've noticed too on NXT is a lot of guys on NXT that are from the Carolinas, for one, and two, like I've been watching them on the Indies and didn't even know that was them until recent. So that's crazy. Like, I've seen Saquon Sugars on the Indies a few times, and I just didn't know. I couldn't put two to two together and didn't know it was the same person. I did not know that. I did not know. I knew Javon Evans though, but I didn't know Saquon, until recently when I seen some videos. I was like, oh snap, I didn't know that was the same guy. But I've noticed that the Carolinas are getting a lot of play as far as mainstream wrestling and stuff. So
there's a lot of good wrestling in the Carolinas. So I'm based out of Texas right now, but I'm moving to Raleigh later this year. So I'll be based out of North Carolina again. I'm pretty excited to get back to North Carolina and work the Carolinas again, because there's a lot of good wrestling there, and I love seeing those guys get these opportunities, man. That's one of the things that, like, people ask me a lot, like, what are you doing with this wrestling shit? Like, you have a PhD, you have a real job. Why are you putting your body through this? Like, do you want to get signed? And I'm realistic. I'm probably not going to get signed, right? Especially to with those stuff I put on Instagram, right? I'm probably not.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. Not to cut you off, but I wouldn't say that, because I mean the climate is definitely changed as far as like talent wise, and I wouldn't say that. I feel like there's a place for everybody in professional wrestling. If they see value in what you do, they're going to sign you, whether it's WWE, whether it's AEW, whether it's TNA, or wherever, whether it's New Japan. I tell you what, I definitely could see you in AEW. Like I could see, yo, hey, can you and see he's pondering right there. You see him looking, he's pondering. Can you imagine Jordan and MJF in the same ring cutting the promo? That will be crazy. That would be crazy. That
That would be a fun tandem, stable, whatever it would be. That would be fun as hell.
Yeah, so like I said, I wouldn't say like you're probably not. It's just the timing of everything. You know what I'm saying? The
I
timing.
will say, it probably won't be WWE though.
Oh,
You know what? That's fine. That's fine. But what I was getting to was like I love seeing these guys eat. You know what I mean? Like I love seeing Malachi doing what he's doing. I love seeing Lucky as Saquon Sugar's doing what he's doing. One of the other guys that I trained with at Rhodes that I first met training in North Carolina is Movie Mike. Movie Mike is now out in the New Japan dojo training out there, right? I love seeing those guys get those opportunities. Another guy is in the States. He's known as Null, but wrestling over in Pro Wrestling Noah, he's Nuru. He's starting to blow up. I love seeing my friends get these opportunities because as far as I'm concerned, when my friends are succeeding, man, I'm succeeding, and I just love seeing that shit. And I understand that probably pulls away the veil a little bit of the asshole that is Jordan Tyler, but I mean that's real. That's just who I am.
nah, I definitely can understand that. I definitely understand that. So I want to talk about one of your matches, the syllabus match. The syllabus match. So you had to write a university syllabus for your next big match. What would it require reading be for your favorite opponent?
So if I had a syllabus for a required reading,
Yeah, like if you had a syllabus match. Okay, so let me rephrase it. Okay, the syllabus match. If you had to write a university syllabus for your next big match, what would the required reading be for your opponent to understand what they are getting into?
oh, what would a required reading be? I think I'd say The Shining
Okay.
because they don't know what they're going to get whenever I get in that ring, right? I might just go off a little bit. There are some times when I lose my shit in the ring,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the reality is you can't prepare for the professor. There is absolutely nothing you can do, at least anybody that's a professional wrestler, there's nothing they can read to be prepared for me because I'm too many steps ahead of you. I've already read everything. The syllabus isn't for them. If anybody, it's me. I'm reading up on them, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm studying them. The reason that I win my matches is because I do the match study, I do the research, and I know your tendencies better than you know your own tendencies, right? They don't understand how to run regression models. They don't understand how to take all the data, put it into an analytics program, and figure out exactly what you're going to do if certain variables line up, right? I know how to figure out like, oh, well, if I hit him with this move, 89% of the time he's going to react this way. That's up here. I already got it logged. So I would say it doesn't matter what's on the syllabus for somebody else to read because there's no way that they could ever be as prepared for me as I'm going to be for them.
Yeah, that's a good answer. That's a good answer. And by the way, like I personalized a lot of these questions, you know what I'm saying, to fit what we was going to discuss tonight. I personalized it especially because I feel like I wanted us to like, go into like something a little different. Like if we could just personalize some of the questions instead of like, gathering information here, gathering information there, you know what I mean? Just give it a little bit, something different. So this next one right here I got for you is academic versus athletic pressure. Okay, so here we go. You've navigated the intensity of earning a PhD and physical toll of the ring. Which environment which environment the lecture hall of your squared circle has taught you more about handling high stake stage fights?
Which one has taught me more, whether academia or in the ring?
Yeah.
Academia, for sure. Because when it comes to academia, there is nothing. There is absolutely nothing like sitting in front of a PhD committee, and their entire purpose is to tear apart every single thing you did. And on top of it, that PhD committee is made up of professors who are all experts in the thing that you're trying to get a PhD in. And they've been doing it for years. And they're all trying to tear you apart. On top of that, you have to publish research in academia. When you publish research in academia, you don't just send it out to a journal and they're like, oh, cool, thank you for this, we'll publish it. They send it off to 3 reviewers, and those 3 reviewers are anonymous, and they also are trying to tear you apart in every single facet. That is mental strength. That stuff we do in the ring, the physical stuff, anybody can train their body to do that. Anybody can lift those weights. Anybody can take those bumps. Anybody can train themselves to do moves. But that mental pressure that gets built in academia is absolutely unmatched. There's no other area of life that will ever prepare you to have to think on your feet, to have to defend yourself and defend your work, and to do it all in the most high pressure stakes possible. If I go out and I lose a wrestling match, shit, I lost a wrestling match. I'm still going to get paid. I'm still going to go sell shirts at my gimmick table. If you don't pass your PhD defense, you just wasted 7 years of your life, right? When you send out research articles to journals, you're talking about months and months and months of work that a journal can just say, no, thank you, it's not good enough. And you got to be prepared. And they'll say, no, thank you, it's not good enough. Here's all the changes you have to make. And then you have to sit with that, and you have to assess what changes you're going to make to send it out to the next one. And that's a matter of, they say when you're in the ring, you get knocked down, you get back up. I can get back up physically very easily, right? A lot of people can get back up very easily. Mentally, how are you going to get back up? Right? That's like what in Rocky Balboa, when he says it ain't about how hard you get hit or how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you get hit and keep moving forward. He is not talking about boxing. He is not talking about a physical fight. He's talking about up here. And that's where all these fights, anything you do in a ring, yes, it's physical, but it's all mental, right? There's a line by the Dropkick Murphys. It goes, a fight starts with your fist, but it ends with your mind. And that's what makes me better than the people I get in the ring with. Because they might be bigger, they might be tougher, they might be veterans in this business. But I can guarantee you one thing, they're not smarter. And they're not as mentally toughened as somebody who has endured the rigors of a PhD program. It's just unmatched.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do feel that you have to have some mental toughness, as far as I feel like life experiences in general prepare you for something like the wrestling ring. You know what I mean? Because just about anybody for the most part, even the smallest guy could have the physical aspects of surviving a wrestling ring, but the mental part is what's the toughest. You know what I'm saying? I've heard some horror stories of wrestlers giving up their dream because it is too tough from the training, and then we can even go back as far as because we've had some legends on the show, and we can even go back as far as the hazing, because they trying to test your mettle to see if you're going to be able to handle it moving forward. We've heard stories with Vince McMahon himself squaring up with Kofi Kingston. Why would he do that? Cause he thinking Kofi Kingston's a mark. Like he thinking Kofi Kingston is
Yeah.
soft. Then the Undertaker having to break it up. Then Chris Jericho having it. Like these stories are just crazy. Probably, and you know what? It's probably one of the reasons why, because I had wrestling aspirations myself at one point, but it's probably one of the reasons why, like, I kind of steered away from it because, for one, I don't like bullying. You bully me, I'm throwing the wrestling out the window. Now I want to fight you. You know what I'm saying? And then I know once that happens, it's a shoot. Now I'm possibly going to get fired. So it's like so many things rambled in my head. But I think if I just stuck to the fact of like, just get in there and try it out and then see what happens. And then, I probably would have been better off, which I still have aspirations for. But, what I mean, financial wise, I'm not. I can't really go there just yet. As far as because I got too many other things going on that I have to maintain. But I still have it up there to like, maybe one day do it and have my kids watch me do it.
Yeah.
Just once or twice. But yeah, man, when you said that, like it just brought back a lot because. We've heard so many stories. Like we had Ahmed on here, and he said so many things. Like I'm like, damn. Like you really have to like have not just be you not just be strong in your mindset. Like you just have to have tunnel vision.
Yep.
Towards everything that's surrounding you. Otherwise, you're not going to survive the business.
It's resiliency, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, my body's going to give out before my brain does, right?
Mm-hmm.
You will physically break me before you mentally break me. Because if I have not been broken by this point in my life mentally, nothing's going to ever break it. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what, and like I said, earlier I said about a guy I trained with, Movie Mike. He's a guy that the mental toughness of Movie Mike to just continue to persist in this business, no matter what hurdle. I mean, this is a guy that doesn't have a car, but I've never seen him miss training. This is a guy that all no matter what they throw, what gets thrown in his way, he overcomes it. Right? His entire gimmick right now is pain lives, Hollywood rules, right? He's letting people know that he is in pain, not physically, mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a shoot, but he's persisting, right? And it's guys like Movie Mike that are going to make an impact in this business. And it's guys like Movie Mike that are going to continue to be stars in this business because of the mental toughness. Again, you can be as tough as you want in the ring. You can make your body as big as you want, but if your mental breaks, it doesn't matter how big you are. It does not matter how strong you are. It does not matter how fast you are. If you don't have the perseverance, if you don't have the resilience of a strong mental capacity, you've already lost.
Right. Yeah. I can't say no more. Like it definitely takes mental toughness to be in that type of business. Because if you're not going to survive that long. But to anybody that has that mental toughness, I salute them because it really takes a special human to get in there and get thrown around. And then on top of that, you gotta think about if the guy really likes you or not, because you also, and I'm gonna pass it to my boy soon. You also have to think about that. You can have a beef with somebody and don't even know you got beef. The dude just don't like you just to not like you. You get in the ring, you like, yo, why is his kick so stiff? Why am I hurting so bad? Why did he just... Yeah, like, why you punch me? Then you go backstage and like, yo, what's going on, bro? Oh, yeah, I don't like you because yada, 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 whatever. Like, I just got here. Why you don't like... You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
And that's a matter of professionalism, though, too. Because, like, look, there are people in the wrestling industry I genuinely don't like.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're in the ring together, I'm going to keep you safe. And I'm going to work with you in a way that makes us both look good. When we get out of the ring, I will continue to not like you. But that does not mean that I'm going to put your career or your physical, well-being in danger, right? The problem is not everybody's like that.
Yeah. And that's kind of the thing that you gotta worry about when getting to the business. Like if you're going to run into folks like that, because 9 times out of 10, you probably will at least once or twice in your career. You probably will, but you just, like you said, if they're professional, you probably won't even know that they don't like you. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So yeah. But yeah, that was deep with what you had just said and whatever. So yeah, I agree with you. Back over to my boy.
Speaking of deep, let's just dive right into it. Your social media presence. Explain to the people how that social media presence got involved. Because I'll be honest with you, the first video I saw it, I was like, oh,
Which one was it?
I don't get me lying to you. You get me lying to you, but it was one where you were defending people that looked like me and him, and you were clapping back at somebody about it. I was like, oh, he's a white guy and he's defending us. I love it. Let me reach out to this guy.
Yeah, man. So, I talked earlier about how I think kayfabe has changed. And it's I don't know if this is real or not. This might be who the guy actually is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been told for a long time by people, not even in the wrestling world, outside of wrestling, that I should make content on Instagram, stuff like that, because I do have a PhD. My PhD is in sociology and criminology. So I've taught classes like social problems, race and ethnicity. I teach about inequality. I've taught criminology, criminal justice systems, right? All of these things I'm as much of an expert in as you can be. That's what a PhD makes you, right? And they're things I care about, right? I grew up not wealthy. Right? I grew up in Section 8 housing, right? I grew up poor. I grew up in one of these weird situations where like my neighborhood was like a poor neighborhood, but then like I had a friend that was rich in the neighborhood like next to ours. I've seen inequality my entire life, and then I went to grad school and I learned about it more. So this is shit that I really care about, and I also recognize there are a lot of people who disagree with it, and I think they're on the wrong side of history. And I held off on making that kind of content for a long time because people would tell me, don't get too political because that's going to kill your wrestling career. And I just kind of got to the point where I was like, why am I doing this? Why am I, wrestling is my art, and it's, I'm not artistic. I can't draw. I can't paint. I can't sing, but I love wrestling. And I also have this aspect of me where I'm an expert in some things that I'm also super passionate about. So why would I continue to be a character or a wrestler that isn't something I love, right? And that's when I was like, you know what? I'm going to start making stuff that's more along the lines of my shoot profession as a professor, right? And that's what the social media is, right? The stuff that I post on there, that's the Professor Jordan Tyler. He's pulling from my actual real life experience. Different. I'm not that much of an asshole about it, right? Like you see in the comments. And that's where I think the kayfabe comes in. And I'll be honest, sometimes I wonder how much of it is Jordan Tyler and how much of it is the guy behind Jordan Tyler. Because I'll find myself, like you said, clapping back at people, and I'm being an asshole, and I'm like, oh, this is the heel character. But then I sit there and I'm like, that's how I feel. You know what I mean? When I tell somebody, you're a racist piece of shit, and I don't think you deserve to breathe the same air as me, that's not a gimmick. That's real, right? So I started posting the videos because people were telling me, look, you have a look, right? I'm aware I'm muscular. I'm aware that whenever I post videos of me lifting weights and stuff, that catches people's eye. And I was told if you can use that look that you have and you can put a hook on a video, you can get people to watch. And if you can do that, you can build some sort of following. And I decided that I didn't care if some promotions would book me or not based upon what I was posting, because the reality of it is, if you don't want to book me because I'm posting about how, you know, men shouldn't police women's bodies and what their gym clothing is because they're, you know, it's a misogynistic way of going about things, or if you don't want to book me because I made a video about how the FBI murdered Fred Hampton, I don't want to work for your company anymore, right? And so I decided I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to be me authentically. And I think that's why it's taken off. I mean, I started posting those videos in, I think, July, and I had 900 followers. As of today, I have almost 40,000. And I'm realizing that, like, a lot of it is the content of what I post, but I think a lot of it is, like we were talking about earlier with the heel characters, you can tell when it's real. I think it's my authenticity. I think whenever you watch those videos, you know it's not just somebody, you know, trying to I don't know, like peddle himself, right? You know, I get people all the time, especially when I post stuff about race. You'll always get a white dude in there that's gonna be like, they don't like you, you're not one of them. And I'm like, bro, then talk to all of my friends. Because, like, I'm not the guy that says, like, oh, I have a black friend. I'm the guy that have a white friend, right? Like, my entire friend group, I'm the white guy, right? So, like, people feel the authenticity. And I think the authenticity is what's getting me the following. And I've had promotions reach out because they like the authenticity. I had somebody a promotion reach out to me and say that I had reached out to and said, like, hey, I would love to work for you guys. Da 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 da. You know, I think I reached out to them in like May last year, and they're like, oh yeah, we see what you're doing at RWA. Like, we have our eye on you. Basically, you know, we'll message you. And then I started posting stuff that was based on my actual, you know, professional professor experience. And that same promotion messaged me and said, hey, you turned yourself into a multi-dimensional wrestler. We're interested in booking you now. And I personally enjoy it because I care about the stuff that I'm posting, right? I'm not just like, oh, what's going to get me? No, like, shit, this is what I care about, right? When the political stuff that's happening right now, right? I mean, what just happened in Minnesota, I have not posted anything yet because I've been busy with my shoot job, but, like, believe you me, in a day or two, I'm going to, right? And it's not because I just want people to get views. It's because I fucking care. Oh, I'm sorry if I don't know if I'm allowed to say the F word, but I get it.
Hey, don't worry about it because I let it fly.
Don't
I
worry about
care about this shit, man. You know what I mean? Like, I used to actually have students that would complain about me cursing because I curse when I care. And I'm kind of long-winding it here. Professor, we talk a lot. All that to say, like, it's authentically who I am. It's authentically the shit that I care about. And I think people need to see it, right? I think people, especially now. And it's crazy to me that my PhD and the stuff that I'm an expert in is, like, exactly what the world needs taught about right now. And I refuse to shut my mouth. I refuse.
You know, regardless of what some of these people say, oh, they don't accept you or they don't like you or whatever the case may be, I wanted to let it be known. I can't speak for my boy up here. I will speak for me. I appreciate that kind of stuff. I appreciate when I see because a lot of people don't want to open their minds to the stuff that is going on in this country alone, let alone around the world. But in this country alone, they don't want to open their minds to what is going on to Black and brown people in this country. they think that, oh, it's stuff that you guys do to yourself. No, I didn't have this problem when Barack Obama was president. Hell, I didn't even have this problem when George W. was president. But now that this other guy has been in office now twice, I have my wife, who is white, by the way.
Yeah.
She has to check on me when I leave the house. I live in Oklahoma. So yeah, I'm not too far from you. So she has to check on me every 10 minutes when I leave the house. Because
reasonable.
In this day and age, who's to say that I'm not going to get pulled over by a police officer who just so happens to be having a bad day, and then I don't get to come home to her and my kids.
You want to know what's wild? I was going to be a cop. I went to undergrad for criminal justice. That's what my undergraduate degree is in. I tested for my hometown police department, which, by the way, is also the police department that caught Luigi Mangione. I tested. I didn't get in. I was the number one scorer in the written test. I was number two in the physical test. But they hired a guy who already had his police academy training. They don't have to train anybody else for their police academy training. So that was, I took a year between. I was talking about this earlier. I kind of got sidetracked. I didn't take the GRE seriously, so I didn't get into graduate school right away. I had to take a year gap, and that's what in that year gap I was like, man, maybe I'll be a cop, But I didn't get hired for those reasons, and then I went to grad school and started studying the criminal justice system. See, I was going to be a cop because my mindset was I'll change it from the inside. And then I went to grad school and was like, oh, you actually can't change it from the inside. The whole system needs to be entirely, completely destroyed and rebuilt, right? And that's the stuff that like people don't understand, right? Like they don't understand, especially white people don't understand, because it's hard to tell a white person who grew up poor, who grew up in like me, who grew up in Section 8 housing on food stamps, that you have privilege. They don't want to hear it because they think, what privilege do I have? I grew up poor. I didn't have anything. But what they don't understand is that privilege is relative to a person of color who is in your same exact position, right? There are things you don't have to worry about that people of color have to worry about on their daily life. And there are hurdles that are going to be in the way of a person of color that simply will not be in your way. And like, it's frustrating to me that people don't get that. But I also understand that I'm kind of a problem there too, because I'm not patient with those people. But I think I'm not patient with those people because I'm just over it now, man. Right? Like I've been patient. I've been patient for so long, and I just can't do it anymore. There's other people out there who are patient and they can do that, but I'm going to be the guy that's an asshole about it because that's what would have worked on me. You know what I mean? Like when I was growing up, I got that messaging, right? They message that shit to you really young when you're a kid. They do it now the same way they did back then, right? They tell you when you're a young male that the reason you're unhappy, and especially if you're a young white male, the reason that you're unhappy, the reason things aren't going well for you is because of women, it's because of the LGBTQ community, it's because of people of color, it's because of people of other religions than Christianity. And like especially when you're a young man, that looking for belonging, and when those racists and those groups of people that want to pull you in, they give you somewhere to belong and they give you an enemy to blame, it's comforting and it's easy. And I know how that feels because I had that messaging when I was a kid. And my mom, wasn't the greatest person, wasn't the greatest mother, but damn it, she didn't give up. Right? She saw a kid that had the wrong people around him at times, and she made sure to say like, "Hey, that's not how we handle things. That's not how we see things." Right? And she trained me to not be like those people. So I know where these people are coming from, and I know the things that they need to be taught, and I just feel like I'm doing a disservice if I don't make that kind of content. Even though it does result in the comment section turning into what it does. And it turns into me being an asshole to people. But you know what? Sometimes somebody needs to be told you're an asshole, right? You're in the wrong here, and you need to correct your behavior.
So, with you being a professor, you're making the content that you're making on your social media. Um, how can we best change the way people think? What can we do as individuals to help other people see like what is going on in this country is not okay?
Yeah, that's hard because if you would have asked me that 10 years ago, I would have told you that we need to like increase, contact with those people, talk to them more, expose them to what the truth is. But I don't know I don't know that that's going to do anything anymore. Right? I mean, we've seen what's happened just this week. Um, I think it's as simple as not shutting up. And it sounds, I wish I had oh, we need these programs and we need to institute this, but like that's so broad. That's such a macro level solution that it seems impossible. I think the only way that we can actually get people to like pay attention to these messages is to not let them go away, right? And is to not shut our mouths because that's what they want you to do, right? That's the reason that a white woman was killed in Minnesota was not because she tried to hit somebody with a car. The video evidence very clearly shows that she did not try to hit that guy with a car. She was
Correct.
killed because she stood up. She was killed because she was a white woman standing up for Hispanic and brown people, and a very small, fragile, weak man did not like it. And that's why he did that. And the goal is hey, I saw a video recently. It was on one of these guys that's trying to like, instigate shit, saying we executed one of you, already executed one of you. He's saying that because it's a threat. He's saying stop standing up. He's saying stop, voicing your opinion. Stop resisting, right? Don't stop resisting. Don't ever stop resisting. And I think the most important people to hear that message to are people that look like me. Because the black and brown people have been resisting for centuries. And it's the people who look like me who have sat by the wayside and let it go. That to me is the way that men use male privilege and that white people use white privilege to make the world better. Because I know that if I get in between a police officer or an ICE agent or something, I might be in danger, but I'm in a hell of a lot less danger than somebody whose skin is darker than mine. So it's my responsibility to do that. Right? I was driving around Austin at one point and I saw that it looked like might have been ICE had somebody pulled over, and I was with somebody who I'm seeing, and she was like, "I think that was ICE." Immediate U-turn. Right? We're going back. Turned out it was just cops had somebody pulled over for DUI. It was nothing crazy. But like that's the kind of shit that you need, right? And I think it's most important that the privileged people in America continue to not shut the hell up about these issues.
Right. And I got called an asshole earlier today because I don't want to put a target on myself because, I'm a black man married to a white woman with mixed race kids, and I don't want to put a target on myself. So a lot of times I just read some of the stupid shit that I see and I just keep on going. Well, I told my wife, I'm like, you know what? I'm tired of being quiet. If I'm not going to speak up, who's going to speak up for me? Right? Yeah, we got some people out there that will speak up on my behalf, like you, that will speak up on our behalf. But what if there's nobody around to speak up? Then it's up to me to speak up, right? So
Yeah.
I got called today on Facebook because it was about the stuff that happened in Minnesota the other day. And some guy that was on one of my friends, high school friends, post said, "Oh yeah, I would have done the same thing." So as a veteran, I would have done the same thing. And I said, first off, I'm a veteran also, and you're a damn liar because if you'd have did that as in the military, you'd be court-martialed and thrown in jail. Oh,
Yep.
you fucking calling me a liar? I said, I am calling you a liar, and I'll do it again because there are rules of engagement. There's a thing
Yeah.
called rules of engagement. You are actually supposed to give a warning. Hey, don't do that.
Yep.
And then if you have to pull your weapon, you pull it, but you don't shoot to unalive. You shoot to disable. So he could have easily shot that lady's tires out. He could have shot somewhere to disable the vehicle. You didn't have to shoot me in the head. But that's neither here nor there. I'll leave it at that. But yes, and like I said before, I can't speak for him, but I do appreciate when I see people that don't look like me speaking up for me and brown and Asian people and the LGBTQ people. I appreciate that kind of stuff because it's going to take everybody
Yep.
to come together just to break this wall down. And it's going to, honestly, I think a lot of it will come to head once the Cheeto man is out of office. That's just me. Then you can really start putting people in
I
place.
hope so. But that's what you said. It's everybody has to come together, and that comes back to, that Fred Hampton in the Rainbow Coalition, man. That's we need somebody else like Fred, man. And like I don't think I'm that guy. I don't know who is. I don't know who could ever be. But damn, we need one.
Mm-hmm. I do want to ask you about one other thing with you being a professor and me being in Oklahoma. What are your thoughts on that situation from the University of Oklahoma?
Oh wow, you talking about the girl with the essay?
Yes.
Hands down, she deserved to fail that paper. She did not follow the rubric of what it was supposed to be. There was a clear outline of what the assignment was. I would have gave her an F2. It was she had an agenda that she wanted to go after, and she did it, and she failed the class. And it's like mediocre people being mediocre and then wanting to blame somebody else for their mediocrity, right? From what I understand, the assignment was to cite credible scientific sources. I'm sorry, the Bible is not a credible scientific source. Period. Not to mention, it had nothing to do with what the assignment was. So she deserved to fail that, right? I feel terrible for the grad because that was a graduate TA. I can't imagine being a graduate teaching assistant. I mean, I was. I can't imagine having my line of funding taken away or getting in trouble for legitimately just grading an assignment the way that it was supposed to be graded. I mean, absolutely insane. Absolutely insane.
Believe it or not, there are a bunch of people here that are Republicans that agreed with the TA. Like, no. Yeah. And then you got the dummy. The dummy gets on TV here in Oklahoma and says, "Yeah, I just threw it together." Like, so now you're incriminating yourself.
And that's another thing. The undergrads don't really realize. We know, we can tell when you wrote a paper the night before. It's super obvious. We can tell. So you get the grade you deserve. I don't know why people professors don't give a shit to be handling vendettas against people. We ain't got time for that. We don't get paid enough for that. You get the grade you deserve. And she did. And again, a mediocre person wanting to blame somebody else for their mediocrity.
It's a damn shame. Do you teach you're in Austin? Are you at the University of Texas?
No. So I actually left.
I mean, you don't have to tell me if you don't want to. I was just curious.
I left academia. Professors are not making enough
Okay.
money. I do research in the private sector now, but I still consider myself a professor. I teach some classes online, but I left academia because I got sick and tired of making $50,000 a year with a PhD. I felt like it was bullshit.
Yeah, I never understood that because you have a graduate or a doctor. You have a graduate doctor. Is a doctorate?
Doctorate, yeah.
Yeah, you have a doctorate. You're making $50,000 a year. I personally do not have a degree. I went to the Army for 10 years, got out of the Army, and started working. I work at a job where I make 70,000 a year. So tell me how that freaking makes sense. You spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to get your PhD, and here I am, Mr. Joe Blow, that did 10 years in the Army and is just in the workforce, and I'm making more. That's crazy.
Well, let me stop you there though. I didn't spend any money to get my PhD.
Okay.
When you get into a PhD program, you get what's called a line of funding. They waive your tuition. You don't pay any tuition, and they actually pay you a monthly stipend to get to work as a research assistant or a TA, like that woman or the trans woman, right? That was in Oklahoma.
No.
That you get paid. I got paid to get my PhD, right? So like, at least I didn't spend any money on it. But I will say there was when I decided I was going to leave academia. There was a big part of me that I was very jaded because I was like, you know what? All I was told my whole life was to go to school and you could get out. You know, it didn't matter what, just go to college, you can get out. Cool, I did it. Growing up, I didn't do drugs. I didn't get in trouble, right? Mainly because I saw what my mom's life was like. I was like, I don't want that, right? I'm not trying to keep the crack away from me. I'm good. I didn't do any. I found myself as a professor. I mean, I would be talking to like other family members, my grandma specifically on the phone, just so pissed off. Like I did everything I was supposed to do. I played by all the rules. I am literally in the top 1% of educated humans, right? Like 1% of the human population has a PhD. And I was like, and I'm sitting here making $50,000 a year struggling to get by. This is bullshit. So that's why I left academia, full time. I still teach classes and whatnot, but it's America, baby. It ain't fair, and it pissed me off. It pissed me off a lot.
I would imagine. I mean, it's still because, yeah, you got your doctorate you got paid to get it, but you still have to pay for the bachelor's. You have to pay for the master's. So you still have to pay money.
The master's is non-terminal on the way to the PhD. I only paid for my bachelor's.
Okay. So you still have to pay for the bachelor's.
Yeah. But good point. The good part there though too. I grew up poor, so I got a whole bunch of grants from the state. That was one of the things my mom always said. She was like, I didn't do much for you, but at least you went to school for half price. I was like, well, shit, I guess so.
She's like, touche.
That works. Yeah. That makes eating cheese sandwiches with mayonnaise for years worth it, I guess.
And I also appreciate how open you are, because I think it was a recent video that you posted on Instagram where you said something about the crack drug. So it's not like you're hiding how you grew up. Like you're open.
No, why would I? Because like there are people who grew up the way I grew up need to know that like you can get out, right? Like, and I'm not ashamed of it. You know what I mean? Like this is wrestling, a little bit more wrestling related. The first time I ever experienced a shooting was Halloween Havoc 1998. I was at my mom's friend's house because they had one of those black boxes where you could get the pay-per-views for free. I don't know if you remember those. Mm-hmm. But watching Halloween Havoc 98 and somebody screwed somebody over in a drug deal and the house started getting shot up. That was the first time I ever experienced a shooting. Ooh. The first time I always say the first time I ever saw the inside of a jail cell. I say first time just to keep the air of illusion. It's the only time I was inside a jail cell. I was in footy pajamas. There was a drug raid at my house and the cops literally took me out of bed and put me in the back of a paddy wagon. I was a child. You know what I mean? And like, I don't hide that shit because I'm not embarrassed by it, right? Like that built me to who I am. Like I said earlier about, it's the mental thing, the mental strength that is most important. That shit was built mental strength, man. Yeah. Like going to school and not knowing what I was going to come home to, fuck that takes some mental dexterity to keep going, bro. When I was a kid, I had an ulcer in my stomach because I was so anxious and worried constantly that the acid ate away at my stomach.
Wow.
And like the thing is like I say this out loud, and I think sometimes like I don't realize how fucked up of a situation it was, right? Because it was just my life. You know what I mean? Like, but when I talk about it out loud to people, I get reactions like that. And I still like don't entirely process like, yeah, that was kind of fucked up, right? But I think it's important because it frames who I am, right? Like it's just I'm not the character when I come out. You're seeing a little bit more of the guy behind Jordan Tyler here. When I come out, I'm pompous and arrogant, as if I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, but I fucking wasn't. And as a person, I think that is important to know about me. I don't think anybody close to me, I don't think you can be close to me and not know that background, because that background is essential to who I am as a person, right? Like, I'm not ashamed that my mom was a drug addict and a drug dealer. My mom did the best she could with what she had, and I don't know the trauma my mom had from her childhood that she was dealing with. And those experiences, while suboptimal for sure, they built me into who I am today. And like, sometimes I'll be sitting in my apartment, by myself, just kind of chilling out with my dogs, and I think like, God damn, I'm safe. And like, that's all I ever wanted. That's all the going to college, right? The getting out. It wasn't getting out. It wasn't leaving my neighborhood. It wasn't getting away from my home. It was that I never felt safe as a kid. And like, as an adult, I can feel safe, right? And that was like, I've had like those like things you do in therapy where you like talk to your inner child, and like I'll do that, and I'll tell him like, hey man, like I'm almost getting teary eyed talking about it. I'll tell him like, hey dude, you're safe, because it's my natural mind state is like, what's the next thing to be stressed about? What's the threat? What do I need to worry about? What do I need to defend myself about? I used to sleep with a fucking knife under my pillow, right? Legit under my pillow. And like that did something to my brain. You know what I mean? Like I don't do that anymore. I don't even think about having to do that. But the constant fight or flight that my brain is in, that I have to tell myself, bro, you're safe. Like you're safe. You don't have to worry about shit. You're fine. That's hard to rewire. And like, I'm open about that shit because there's other people that might be going through the same thing. And like, I don't know what, kid out there might listen to this or might hear me talk about that or might see me say those things on Instagram and be like, shit, me too. And if this is, this is kind of weird. I didn't think I would talk about this, but one of the artists that I saw in my life that helped me through that was Marshall Mathers. The parallels on those, there's a line in one of his songs where he says, try to imagine watching your mama popping prescription pills in the kitchen. And as a kid, I heard that and I was like, I don't have to imagine that. Right. Always going through her purse and shit's missing. I don't have to imagine that. Right. I lived that fucking life. And, as polarizing as Eminem was whenever, back then, because of, he said a lot of, homophobic shit. As polarizing as he was back then, like, I don't know that I would have made it to where I am had I not had him to relate to. And if there's one kid that sees, even though I'm a heel, even though I'm a bad guy, if there's one kid that's like, shit, he's a professor and he grew up the way I grew up, and it motivates that kid to change his life and take the steps to make it better, or at least gives him hope that it will be better, I'm good with that. That's one's enough, man. Like if I help one child for the rest of my life that grew up the way that I grew up to, build a better life, I'm happy.
I want to say something real quick, and then I'll pass it on to my boy. This goes to show everybody that, you guys perform day in, day out, put on a show for people. But at the end of the day, you're still human. You're still human. You still have a heart. You still think, you still stress. And for everybody that's going to be listening to this or is listening to this now, take it from him. He is a human. He might put on a performance day in and day out, but he's also human.
Yeah.
And we do like to talk about wrestling on this show. Is Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle. We do talk about wrestling, but we also talk about real life stuff. We've talked about the Devon Dudley calling Jim Ross a racist, and I've talked
I
about
just
my
thought about that today.
Yeah.
Right.
You
Yeah.
see, he did it. He did a part two. Devon responded to Jr. With Maven about the issue or whatever, and he explained the whole situation. Because when he did it the first time, not to cut y'all off, by the way, but I just wanted to put out there. So when he explained everything, he explained it in detail of how it occurred. So the whole thing was after he had finished talking about it was that JR was drunk. So JR probably don't even remember what he said. But here's the thing though. Alcohol, me being a substance abuse counselor, alcohol brings out the truth. So if you have those innermost thoughts about, race, whatever, you drunk, it's gonna come out, whether you like it or
The
not.
the phrase that my grandma always used to say to me is, "Drunk words are sober thoughts."
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what you were saying about we put on this, we're out there, we're performing. I'll bring it back to my PhD in sociology, and dramaturgy it's an idea in sociology, and what it basically says is, like, in our everyday lives, we're all engaging in a performance. We all have our front stage selves, and we all have our backstage selves, right? Same thing with wrestling, and it's the same thing with life. And that's why wrestling is the best form of storytelling there is, because wrestling is it's all a metaphor for life. Wrestling is, the storylines are life lessons if you look deep, right? And when we're talking about it's Irving Goffman's dramaturgy is the theory. And the idea is that you have your front stage self, which is what you show other people, what you want them to see, but you also have this backstage self. This is your actual persona. I've known about this, and I've made it a point to do my best to make my front stage and backstage the same.
But it's just like I was saying, though. It's like I personally like talking about the real life stuff, because that's how you get into who the wrestler actually is. Okay, like wrestling isn't your, like, speaking to Jordan Tyler, wrestling isn't your entire life. What makes up Jordan Tyler? What makes him up? Like, so you started talking about your childhood, going to college, your social media presence. That's what makes Jordan Tyler, and that's also what makes him a damn good heel,
Yeah.
right?
And it's funny that you say that too, because I have this idea. I want to work with somebody and make a video, basically a promo. I want to make I want to make a promo that I essentially pin to my Instagram that is that exact question. It's just like somebody saying, "Who is Jordan Tyler?" And basically just go into everything we just talked about, because that's what gets people invested. And that's, again, coming back to this idea we talked about earlier of kayfabe is not dead. It's just different. And like, I think that's where you get the emotional connection in this business now. And man, that's what I love about wrestling. No form of entertainment, movie, songs, well, maybe a couple songs, has made me cry the way professional wrestling makes me cry, right? Like WrestleMania 40, not the Cody Rhodes storyline, but when Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens had that moment before Sami went out to wrestle. I think it was Sami. And yes, that's Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens on stage. But when you know their background, you know that they're best friends in real life, and you know that is a best friend giving his best friend a hug before he goes out to perform on the grandest stage of any fucking show in the thing that they love. God damn, I sobbed, right? And it's the same reason why when Movie Mike won the Rhodes Wrestling Association title, that was the first. Movie Mike has been in this business for so damn long, and that was the first company, like real, like big company, that put a title on him. I made sure that whenever he came through that curtain with that title, I was the first person there to give him a hug, because that shit is what that is what I live for, man. I love that storytelling. I love the real raw emotion, and that's how you get people invested.
Well, if you need somebody to voice that for you, who is Jordan Tyler, holla at your boy.
All right, all right.
Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I just before I get into some more wrestling questions, I just wanted to piggyback off of what you guys were discussing. I want to say this too. Like, I'm definitely appreciative of the fact that you're open minded to the social injustice of what's going on in the world today. I'm definitely appreciative of that because, like, and I had this discussion with uh with with somebody that's working on my house right now, and we were in my truck and we were going to Home Depot to go pick up some more stuff to work on my house. And police just pulled, got right behind us. And I'm looking, and even though I know we're not doing nothing, we're minding our own business, it's just for the simple fact that why do I always have to, why always instantly do I have to go and look in the mirror or feel some type of way when all of this occurs? And it goes back to that fear mongering tactic that's been like programmed in our mind for such a long period of time. And I'm telling him, he was like, he was like, yeah, I know we good. I know we good. And I was like, yeah, I know, but why is he following us? And he literally followed us all the way to almost Home Depot, then he turned off. So I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like it just becomes annoying because you know you're doing the right thing, but yet you still have people out there that are using their entitlement for the wrong reasons. And
Yep. And that's what I try to explain to people when they say like white privilege isn't real. That's white privilege. The fact that when a cop gets behind me, I don't have to feel that way, that is white privilege, right? It's not that my life is automatically easier because I'm white. It's not that I get some like bonus amount of money into my bank account when I was born, right? It's shit like that, and it's those things that put you in that mental fight or flight, right? That I was talking about, that I experience a lot, where I have to remind myself I'm safe, right? I also am aware that even though I have that, there's a number of things I don't have to worry about because because of the way I look, right? And that what you just said, that's a perfect example of like the difference in privilege and what privilege is.
Yeah. Yeah, and when you guys were talking about that, it just dawned on me that occurred just recently, So and not for nothing, it happens on a regular basis. Like we all would feel like, I know for me, being in the area that I live in, like I always, every time, and I know I'm not doing nothing, but it's just for the simple fact of this is what has been programmed into our skulls since we were kids. We see it on TV, we witness it in the projects that we live in, and you know, it's programmed to the point now you see it, you're witnessing it, the hair stands up on your skin, but then they just walk past you. And I'm like, why do I always have to feel that way? I hate feeling that way. You know what I'm saying? Especially because I'm not doing nothing.
Yep.
So So
Yep.
yeah, so like I definitely appreciate that, you know, and I feel like it's gonna take more people just like you to open up the minds and the eyes of everyone else that need to be opened up, you know, and I hope, you know, you continue to do content like that and trust and believe. Like I'm gonna be paying attention. I'm gonna share too.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. You know, I think there are more people like me. It's just they need to be more vocal. They need to be more
Yeah,
vocal.
yeah, yeah. So I wanted to talk about your professor gimmick, and I know you guys tapped in on it a few times already, but I wanted to tap in and speak on this. So this is like I told you, all my questions are based personally, you know. So it says, how do you balance the professor persona so it feels like a genuine extension of your academic background rather than a standard wrestling trope?
Yeah, it's the stuff that I bring the sociology aspect into things,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, yeah, and that's a really good question because I fought with that for a while because I was like, man, I don't want this to be like a Lanny Poffo. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be doing a Lanny Poffo or a Damien Sandow
Mm-hmm.
or you know insert any smart guy wrestler gimmick, right? And I think the way that I keep it just as actual like an authentic professor is that I talk about I talk about the shit I'm actually a professor of and that I know about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because in doing that, it increases what I was saying earlier about authenticity. If I if I go out there and I've had a lot of times where people are like trying to coach me through a promo or what they want out of a promo and they're like, "Ooh, maybe talk about like like the physics and this and that." I'm like, "I'm not a physicist. I'm not a physicist. If you want me to go out there and start talking about chemistry and shit, I'm going to sound like an idiot. I'm going to sound like somebody who's pretending to be a professor. But if I go out there and I cut a promo at Inspire Victorious, where I'm a heel, but I went out there and I was like, I look around at all these guys in this crowd, and I was like, all I see are a bunch of fragilely masculine men, and like basically just hit all the things that I know that are that that are in line with these ideas of fragile masculinity and misogynistic ideas. And the fact that I was talking the way that I was talking, you could tell, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about because I do. I pull from my actual lectures on this shit. And it was funny in that crowd, all the men were very upset with me, but the women loved me, right? Because I was talking about stuff that was real and that was, actually important sociologically. And I think too, while I am a heel, I'm a heel because I'm an asshole. I'm not a heel because I'm wrong. And that's what I get a lot from fans when they'll come up to my table afterwards and tell me how much they love my work. They'll say things like, "Man, I agree with everything you say. You're just such an asshole about it that I have to boo you." And that's how I keep the heel character and keep the authenticity of being an actual professor rather than just being like oh, this is a wrestling character that's a professor. Is that I be the professor that I was in the classroom, except instead of talking about those things in a way where I'm trying to like guide students into learning things, I'm just an obnoxious prick about it.
Yeah, like I said before, I enjoy the heel work. I enjoy the heel work, and like and I said this before on a previous show. Heels are very artistic. I feel like the heels are more artistic than the faces because I feel like if you're a likable person, then it's easy for you to be liked amongst the fans. But if you're a likable person and then you're a heel, that's when the artistic part comes in, because you got to force the people to hate you. And then
Yeah.
when you get them to hate you, on top of your look, the way you look, the way you address people, now it's like, oh, wow, like, he got a punchable face. I just want to knock this guy out, but outside of that, he's such a cool guy. And so when you say that, I'm like, I get it, because we've dabbled on that conversation plenty of times in the past with other athletes, and it definitely takes something special for you to like really articulate what a heel really is. So I agree
And
with you.
And I think too, one of the things that at least that I've found, is the people that I think are like some of the best heels that I've like worked with or that I know on the independent scene are the nicest guys in the world,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's always the nicest dudes and the nicest girls that are the best heels.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it plays to what you're saying. It's that creativity. It's the artistic, the art of it all.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I've gotten it from people before where they're like, "Man, you're not at all what you're like in the ring." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know." Like, and it's a gimmick. Like, I'm not that much of an asshole. That would be exhausting.
Yeah, I get it. I understand totally. My next question is, you've spoken about wrestling as a tool for autonomy rather than domination. How do you communicate that philosophy through your in-ring movements and your psychology?
Say that again.
I said, you've spoken about wrestling as a tool for autonomy rather than domination. How do you communicate that philosophy through your in-ring movements and psychology?
Yeah. When I work, when I'm in my heat,
Mm-hmm.
I'm never like overpowering the person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not there. I don't beat somebody down. I give them a few and I talk my shit.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like I said earlier, you're never going to see me do a tope suicida, right? I'm not doing a 450 splash. Hell, I don't even want to go up to the top rope. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly and methodically do everything I can to get the reaction out of the crowd that I want, right? And when I do that, I'm showing them I'm in control here, right? I make the decisions about what's going to happen in this ring, not him and not you people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you can do things like one of my favorites is giving a chop, and then you know the crowd loves that sound. They'll give you a woo. You ask them, "You guys want another one? You want another one? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Eat shit. Do something else, right?" I make the decisions in here, not you, right? I'm not gonna do what you want me to do because you're wrestling fans. I'm gonna do what I want to do in the ring because you paid to see me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes perfectly good sense. You know, like I said, being in control of that character is important because that's how you get everybody reeled in. So I agree with you. I agree. Um, as a graduate of the Rules Wrestling Academy, who promotes exclusive coaching, what is one traditional wrestling locker room habit you're most proud of leaving behind?
Always cleaning up afterwards, right? Like we at Rhodes, everybody, no matter what level you are, you could be the movie Mike champion. You're picking up chairs, right? You're not everybody has a hand in that production, right? It doesn't matter what level you're at, whether you're a trainee or whether you're a star, whether you're a mid-level guy, which I'm kind of a mid-level guy at Rhodes. Everybody has a hand in making that show run, right? And it's the same way everywhere you go. Like you help set up, you help tear down, And, I used to think like, oh, this is like part of paying my dues. I have to help set up, help tear down. And then eventually I won't have to do that anymore. But the reality is like, we're all here for the same thing. We all want the show to go well. And we all want to, you know, we all, especially if you run a show at say like, a different location, right? Like Rhodes recently, we had our 1 year anniversary show at a bar, which is the first time Rhodes had a show outside of the school. So if we were going to get invited back to that bar, well, then that bar needs to look exactly the same way it looks when we leave, but as it was when we came in, because if not, they might not have us back. And if they don't have us back, we just lost the venue. Right.
Right.
And it's that, and it's also, making sure that you shake everyone's hand, let everybody know that you respect them, and always making sure that everybody's okay. The number one most important thing for any wrestling show is that at the end of it, everybody's healthy. I don't care if every match was the shits. I don't care if the fans didn't clap a single time. If everybody's healthy, we had a good show.
Yeah, I think that's important too. I definitely think that's important. Being able, like, and I've heard this. I've heard this before. It's much more like what you said, and it's much more than just paying dues. It's more like just showing respect to the whole art form. Like, you know what I mean? When you go inside somebody's house, you don't, and especially nowadays, I know like, my wife is definitely with that habit. You go in somebody's house, 9 times out of 10, you see a clean floor, you want to take off your shoes. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to leave your shoes on and track dirt all over the floor. Now they got to clean the floor all over again. So, you know what I mean? You leave your shoes at the porch. You know what I'm saying? You walk in with your socks or you walk in barefoot. You know what I'm saying? So I get it.
And I mean, the shoes thing, if you watch any of my matches, anytime I get in and out of the ring, I mean, unless it's like, somebody throwing me under the ring, into the ring or something like that, I had a force of habit. I always wipe my feet. I always wipe my feet on the apron before I get into the ring, because it's just a force of habit. You wipe your feet before you get in there because you want to keep that ring clean for everybody that's going to be taking bumps in there.
Yeah. So, but that's like a traditional thing, though. Like, I've seen Gunther do it. Gunther does it all the time. I've seen Bailey do it a few times. Now, I don't see everybody, but I've seen like certain people that believe that they have done it, and
Yep.
so I definitely agree with you. What is the most out of box piece of advice you received during your time at the Rhodes Wrestling Academy that changed how you view the business?
Out of box, it changed how I view the business. Man, I don't know if I have a good one for that. Changed how I view the business. I don't know that if there was any advice that I got that changed how I viewed the business, but I think just like the different stories that you get from Dustin, right? Hearing about what it was like in the 80s, in the 90s, and then training with guys like Ricky Starks and training with people like Abaddon, and juxtaposing what the business is like now versus what the business was like then, right? That really, I'd say that has changed. That changed how I saw the wrestling business more than anything. Was that, and I think it changed, and for the best too, for the better too, because I think the wrestling business now is in a much healthier and better position than it was, in the 80s and 90s. And obviously, the drugs part of it is a big part of that. But not just that, but the culture, right? The culture of the people in the locker room. Like you guys were talking earlier about the hazing and shit. That doesn't happen anymore. Like I haven't had to worry at any trainings that somebody's going to break my leg on purpose to test my metal, like that's not a thing. But like, Was it something I worried about when I first decided I was going to be wrestling? Hell yeah, I heard that story about Hogan getting his leg broken. Do I believe it now, knowing more about Hogan? Probably not. Dude lied about everything. But don't get me started on Hogan. Jesus. TMZ stole my
Hey,
video, by the way.
hey, go ahead. We have a whole show dedicated to how we felt about Hogan.
But yeah, like I think that's really been that's been the most like the thing that changed my the way I viewed the wrestling business the most is that like I think before I got into the wrestling business and with all the things you hear and read about from how wrestling used to be, and then training with people who actually, are signed or have been signed and have been been in those locker rooms and hearing like, it's not like that anymore, right? It's a better culture. And like, I mean, it gives me a better view of wrestling and makes me love it even more, I'd say.
Yeah. All right, so I got one more, and then I'm gonna tag my peoples back in. With your background in sociology, how do you analyze the crowd's reaction mid-match? Are you looking at them as a fan base or a case study in human behavior?
Ooh, I think it's both because a, a lot of the crowds that I wrestle in front of aren't wrestling crowds.
Mm-hmm.
I wrestle for like there's a promotion I wrestle for called Slam Portal. Slam Portal is like over the top gimmick wrestling, right? A lot of people will call it comedy wrestling. I don't think it's comedy wrestling. I think it's wrestling. I think it's professional wrestling the way it should be. It's over the top gimmicks.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the people that come to those shows aren't wrestling fans. They're Slam Portal fans, right? So they don't react the way a wrestling fan would. They don't know that when you start pounding your foot on the mat, that means that you want them to. They don't know that. So you have to understand what is going to get a reaction out of a human being to make them want to get behind you, right? Or to make them want to hate you. And that's where the sociology comes in, is that you have I can feel out or at least get an idea of what things I need to say, do, or a way that I need to move that's going to get the reaction out of them that I want, not as wrestling fans, but as human beings. Because they need to connect. There needs to be an emotional connection. When you're just, a lot of times you'll see wrestling matches that get those "this is awesome" chants. And it is awesome. But it's awesome because they're doing flips. And it's awesome because I'm doing the most acrobatic shit that you've seen human beings do. You don't get "this is awesome" chants when people are emotionally invested because they're too damn emotionally invested. They don't want to say, "Oh, this is awesome." Da, 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 da. They're watching. They're waiting for what's going to happen next. And I think knowing what will get that reaction out of a person, will get that investment from a sociological perspective, is something that I think is really important.
Yeah, when I was forming that question, I was like, this would be cool because like a lot of the stuff that you're talking about right now, I actually had to go through that this year in my classes. And he'll tell you like I had to, there was even moments where I was getting frustrated at certain at certain things, like especially because I actually have to prepare for a case study for my licensing that I'm going to be applying for real soon. So when
Yeah.
when you say all that, it just registered like, oh yeah, and I'm thinking about all the things that you said. I'm like, yeah, human behavior, this and that. So yeah.
And And every crowd too, you could treat as a case study,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's crowds that sometimes, like, you know, you'll be on a show and you'll be watching through the curtain or maybe on a monitor in the background, and like you're watching the match and you're like, holy shit, they're killing it out there, and the crowd's silent, and you're like, damn,
Yeah.
they ain't popping for anything,
Yep.
right? But then there's other shows I'll be on where somebody gives someone a body slam and they go nuts.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, they'll pop for this case study, they'll pop for anything. Right?
You know what? And not to cut you off, and I asked, because I'm going to get to you, Dub, but I got to ask this question, a question that me and Dub talked about. So I want to backtrack to Gunther, right? Because we talking about behavior and we talk about reactions and stuff like that. So I want to backtrack to Gunther real quick. So Gunther retired John Cena, right? And if you go to New Japan, Okada retired Tanahashi, right? Everybody watches that match, which, by the way, was that match was phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? Hands down, dope match, right? For what Tanahashi does in his condition at this point in his career, still able to do what he do, phenomenal. But why do fans are so picky and choosy about how they react to certain things? Like, nobody said anything about, oh, why did Okada retire Tanahashi? You know what I'm saying? But as soon as Gunther went and retired John Cena, and because of how John Cena tapped, you know what I'm saying? All of a sudden, it's a big deal. It's a big hurrah. Like, everyone is mad and upset. But if you look back at all the heels, I mean, not heels, but if you look at all the wrestlers that were on the verge of retirement in the past, right? Most of them didn't win. Ric Flair didn't win. Ric Flair didn't win against Shawn Michaels. Undertaker didn't win against Brock Lesnar. The Rock lost to Goldberg. And I could go on and on and on and on and on. So it's like, I don't understand, like, you know, the whole situation with the IWC. Like,
You do. Yeah, you do.
You sure?
You do. Yeah, you do. It's selective outrage, right? So a lot of people these days dislike the WWE. So they're gonna find a reason to hate some of the stuff that they do. For instance, Gunther and John Cena. So we had a show, we talked about, well, most the times when retirement matches happen, the retiree does not win, right?
Yeah.
So what other way to make Gunther even more of a just hateable person, more than what he already is, than to have John Cena do the one thing that he said he would never do, never quit, never give up, and watch him do that, right? People hated that, not understanding, but they love the fact because Okada is in AEW. More and more people these days are liking AEW over WWE and New Japan, where Tanahashi is. They're gonna love that. It's selective outrage.
Well,
That's the way I look at it.
It's customary in the wrestling world that when you're retiring, you go out on your back. I mean, there's a reason that most. I mean, you said most. It should be all, right? There's no reason for someone to win a match when they're retiring. You go out on your back and you put a person over. And I think, my immediate reaction whenever Cena tapped was, shit, he should have passed out instead. And after I thought about it, I was like, no, he had to tap out. He had to tap out, because if he passes out, that's how you keep somebody strong, right?
Yeah.
When Austin passed out from blood loss instead of tapping, that sent him to the stratosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Why do that with Cena, right? The people who were mad that Cena tapped instead of passing out, or even worse, winning? It's a simple answer, and IWC won't like it, but it's real. They're marks. That's what it is, right? You wanted to see the good guy win, but the good guy sometimes has to lose. There was nothing to gain by Cena winning. I'm willing to hear the argument that he should have passed out, but absolutely not. There's no chance in hell he should have won that match. Absolutely not. There's no reason for it. Why? It does nothing for Gunther. It makes it a pointless match. All you do is send your hero out, and he's still a hero. He's still Super Cena. It doesn't do anything, right? And if he passes out, which I like I said, I admit was my immediate reaction. I mean, it only lasted for maybe 20 minutes, but my immediate reaction was like, oh, I should have passed out. But that still would have kept Cena strong, right? That would have set Cena up for another match, right? The fans would have come away from Cena passing out with, ooh, maybe he's coming back then. But when Cena gives that nod and he gives that little smirk said, he outlasted me. He's better than me. I don't have it anymore. I'm done. Right? That was the smirk of a man knowing that his time is over. Right? Mm-hmm. And I think that was perfect for the Cena character, because the whole time was, your time is up, my time is now. And he gave that smirk because he knew my time's up. And he tapped. And I think that's the perfect way to end that. Not just because it wraps up the Cena character in the way that it should be, and it puts a bow on it, and it doesn't leave the open like, oh, maybe he'll come back, right? It puts an end to that Cena story arc of being the guy who never gives up, because he had to give up, because at some point a bigger, stronger dog comes and takes over. And that's what happened. And then at the same time, you also send Gunther into being one of the top heels in the business.
I definitely agree with that. I know because we're part of the Wrestle Talk on TikTok, and I've seen so many TikToks of people complaining, oh, if anything, he should have passed out. But I'm like, in my head, I'm like, why though? Why would he need to pass out? You know, his whole shtick was never give up.
Yep.
He's retiring. So what a better time to, okay, and he said it himself, I'm at peace, I'm tapping out.
Yeah. And the thing is too, is like, you know, right now, I don't know how people might feel about it, but even, I mean, think in 5 years, does that take away from the Cena mystique at all? No. Right? The fact that he tapped out does not remove Super Cena and what Cena was for his entire career. It's still there. It just ended the way it should have ended. And by making him pass out, or even worse, having him win, it leaves it too much, I don't know, open, right? And it doesn't actually end it, right? And it's like, even though Flair didn't actually retire after the match with Michaels, that, to me, that was the most perfect retirement moment that you could have had, right? And like, Cena's wasn't like that, right? Because it wasn't, you know, Gunther wasn't apologizing to him, that's for sure. But like, it also put a bow on it the same way that Michaels put a bow on Ric Flair.
There's one retirement match that I'm not happy about. I feel like if The Undertaker knew he was going to retire, AJ Styles should have beat him.
Yeah. I agree. Yep.
Because he retired shortly after that match. He had like a hip surgery or something like that, and then ended up retiring and going right into the WWE Hall of Fame. AJ Styles should have beat him in that Boneyard match.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. No argument here.
So, I didn't know. Were you done, bro?
No. Go ahead. I got to step away for 1 second, but I'm right back. But go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
What is a piece of advice you would give somebody breaking into the wrestling industry?
Get in the gym.
Well,
Honestly.
you're a personal trainer, so you're going to say that.
Yeah, but get in the gym because there's nothing like wrestling stamina. Nothing prepares you for it. Like I've actually said, like, we'll be doing stuff in the training in the ring, and I'll actually say to guys, like, I do 60 minutes of cardio at 165 beat per minute on average, but we just did a spot for 4 minutes and I'm dead, right? If you don't have a base level of conditioning, you'll never survive. You'll never survive. So get in the gym is first and foremost the first one. Something that's outside of that, watch old shit. I very, very rarely watch modern wrestling. In fact, I hate that the WWE network isn't a thing anymore because I used to get on there and just watch old territory stuff. I still do it because you kind of can on Peacock. But like,
Mhm.
I watch World Class, right? I watch old NWA stuff. And the reason that I would say that is because wrestling is cyclical. And I think especially if you're going to start getting in the wrestling business now and you're young, right now it seems to be trending towards a lot of super athletic, flippy, almost like gymnastics in the ring, where it looks super coordinated. It looks super, choreographed, everything they're doing. But if you go back and you watch like an old NWA taping where like Ric Flair's wrestling George South, there's going to be, and I think there already is, there's going to be more of a hunger for that type of wrestling, right? The throwback. I think that's why FTR has been so successful. And so I would say, like, go back and watch old stuff. Find something old. Find some things that people did in the 80s or the 70s that's not being done anymore, and take it. Right? That's what I'm always watching. I mean, I watch that old stuff, but I'm always watching like Jake the Snake. Right? I'm always watching Jake Roberts. I like to watch a lot of Adrian Adonis, right? Gorgeous George, right? That's the stuff that I like to watch and see, like, what can I pick up from these guys? Because I know I'm not going to be the guy doing 450 splashes and moonsaults. So I think to pick some old stuff and like that's what's going to be novel soon, because right now, I think, yeah, it's like a lot of the attention is being paid to these guys that are super athletic and can do crazy stuff in the ring. But at the end of the day, wrestling's about telling a story. And sometimes those matches don't tell stories. But if you go back and watch a match in the 80s, every single one of them does. Every single one of them. Even the squash matches, they all tell stories.
And I'll say this about that. I know you say you don't watch a ton of modern wrestling, but if you do like more of the old school type of wrestling, and me and him have talked about this on a couple shows. The newer NWA that is shown on Roku, they're more of a throwback style. It's more of a throwback style.
For
So
sure. Yeah.
if people out there, if you guys appreciate older school wrestling but more modern, go watch NWA on Roku. You'll get all that. I watch it every week and I enjoy every bit of it.
Mm-hmm.
And even separate from wrestling too. Again, wrestling's all about storytelling. Watch movies. Watch what makes you want, the good guy to win, or what makes you hate the bad guy, right? Especially if you want to be a heel. Compelling villains usually have something about them that like you would agree with, right? Thanos wanted to wipe out half of the population of the entire universe. Obviously not a great thing. People don't want it. But when you understand that the reason was because, well, if there's half the amount of people, we'll have far more resources for everybody and everybody will have a much better life. Well, that sounds a little bit more, understandable, right? if you're talking like, I know I'm in the minority on this, but some of my favorite Batman movies are like the ones in the 90s, like where with the one where Arnold Schwarzenegger is Mr. Freeze.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Freeze is a villain who wants to freeze the entire world. Why? Because he wants his wife back. Right? If he just wanted to destroy the planet, he's not interesting. Right? It's whenever there's something like, if you want to be an interesting villain, there needs to be something you connect to that humanizes you. And I think somebody starting out in wrestling really can like benefit from understanding like why people are invested in those characters.
Absolutely, it makes a lot of sense. I didn't even think about the fact of going back and watching some movies, like going back and watching some Thanos, Marvel. Go back and watch Marvel, and go back and watch all the DC stuff. And I didn't even think about that. That's a damn good idea.
X-Men. Oh my! I mean, like Magneto. Like, yeah, he's the bad guy, but like he's pissed off that like humanity has ostracized mutants and treats them like shit, and he wants revenge for it.
Yeah.
That kind of humanizes him, doesn't it? Kind of makes you see his point. It makes him complex. It makes him more interesting. And like, I didn't even realize I was doing it. Like I said, when I got a message from one company that I had messaged that weren't really interested, and then once they started seeing me humanizing myself on Instagram, all of a sudden you're a little bit more compelling. Now we want you on our show.
Makes perfect sense.
You could go back even further with Marvel, and you could say Killmonger. Killmonger was the same way.
Yeah.
Killmonger was the exact same way.
So we also know that you're a personal trainer, and you mentioned one of the things you need to do if you're starting out in the wrestling business is get in the gym.
Yep.
Does it make you cringe a little bit when you see somebody like, let's say, Jey Uso doing all this stuff, getting to the ring, and by the time he gets to the ring, he's all blown out?
You know what? No, it doesn't, because it's entertainment, man. I hate the eat thing. I do. And most importantly, I hate that they're making Jimmy come through the crowd to Jey Uso's music, even though they're now the Usos again. What the hell are we doing? Why are you coming out to entrance music that says, it's just me, Us? Because it's not just you, it's both of you. It's funny that you use that example, because that really pisses me off. Like, imagine being Jimmy Uso coming out to that, just like, just me, Us. Yep, eat, yep, okay. You know? But no, it doesn't, because, and like, I'll say the same thing. Like, I say get in the gym not because I need you to be like, muscly or super physically fit, because Kevin Owens is one of my favorite wrestlers. He's compelling, but brother doesn't get blown up. And that's what I mean when I say get in the gym. Get your cardio right. And whether Jey Uso's getting blown up by the time he gets in there and actually starts working. I mean, I think Jey Uso still works well. But I think look, wrestling is pageantry, right? I have that one video I said about wrestling is drag. It is. Wrestling is drag, 100%. And all that is Jey Uso strutting his way down the runway.
I was going to ask you to explain that.
I mean, that's what it is. I mean, like, yeah, wrestling is all drag. I mean, that's what, if you watch RuPaul's Drag Race, shit, watch that and then watch a Seth Rollins match. Wrestling is drag. I'm telling you, wrestling is drag.
I think it's funny that you, of all wrestlers, you point out Seth Rollins.
Well, I mean, Seth Rollins has the most drag-esque entrance gear, is what I'd say. But,
exactly.
But that's what it is. It's all over. It's over the top, right? Drag is very over the top, like, but it's more focused on the ideas of like femininity and stuff. Whereas wrestling is over the top masculinity, right? And like, that's how I see the Jey Uso, all that coming through the crowd. It's pageantry. It's part of it. I mean, for me, the entrance and your music is perhaps the most important part of the match, right? Like, that's why when I come through the curtain, I immediately start yelling. Immediately. Because I need you to know what you're about to come, what's about to happen. If I come through the match and if I come through the curtain and I'm just, who cares? I'm just mean mugging everybody. No, as soon as I hit the curtain, every time, that's right, baby, the smartest man in professional wrestling, and damn sure the smartest man in this building. And then I point at every single person and find something about them that I don't like. You know, you're cross-eyed. My favorite thing is to tell people that I'll put their lazy eye back to work, even though they don't have a lazy eye, right? Like, just find shit, right? Keep peppering people with, because that entrance is super important. So that's a long-winded way of saying, no, I don't mind when Jey Uso does that. I do mind that they're making Jimmy come out to his entrance music, though. I think that's ridiculous.
I figured they would have gone back to the Uso Penitentiary song. But
Yes.
I thought I recently heard them go back to the Uso Penitentiary, didn't they?
they brought it back for like one or two, but they, just like he said, they're using Jey Usos. It makes no fucking sense.
Yeah.
Not at all. And I know it's his brother, but that's got to feel like shit.
Absolutely.
It's got to feel like shit.
Oh my gosh. Golly, that's crazy. They need to do something about that. They really do. Are there any moments in wrestling history you consider masterclasses in psychology or character development?
Ooh. Moments? I think, like I said earlier, the Austin passing out with the blood to the blood. I think that was like, that's a masterclass in how to lose a match, but not just come off strong, but like potentially make yourself the bigger star, right? That's one. I'm certainly biased, but Shawn Michaels in the barbershop window, right?
Oh yeah.
That's one that, like, I mean, that's one of my early childhood memories. Like, I don't remember a lot about my childhood, but I remember watching the barbershop window, right?
Me too.
And that, as far as character development, I mean, you went from the rocker Shawn Michaels to HBK, man, like, and his career skyrocketed from there. That one to me is probably the biggest one, is the barbershop window.
If you were standing in the ring and you're waiting on, I'm gonna name this guy, but you're waiting on this person to come out, his music hits, and you see him just sprinting to the ring, and then he gets up on the ring and ropes and just starts shaking the shit out of the ropes, would that not fuck you up mentally? And you know who I'm talking about. I don't even have to say his name.
I do. I think I have some arm tassels around here somewhere of his.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know how I would feel about that. My initial reaction would probably be, this guy's off his rocker. I hope he doesn't stiff the shit out of me. But like, and then also, is he going to be blown up by the time we're in here in 3 seconds? But yeah, I would have some serious concerns about how that match was about to go, right? Like, am I gonna have to slow this dude down? Like, why are you so intense? Like, how hard are you gonna hit me? How fast are we about to go, brother? I don't have this kind of stamina for you to be doing this.
That's part of that psychology. Is like, I wonder, it makes me wonder, like, you were speaking on psychology, if he did that on purpose for the psychology of him, like, just to throw the person off. You know, it's kind of like Jake the Snake and Damien. You never know when that damn snake was going to come out. That would fuck with me mentally.
And it was, and I mean, you saw it in the matches too, right?
Yeah.
Andre the Giant reacting to the snake is some of the best, reactions that he got out of anyone with that snake, right? And I think the Warrior doing what he did as an intimidation tactic, like, if I'm putting myself in kayfabe, like I'm really actually about to fight this guy and he's running out and doing this shit, this man's fucking insane, right? Like, what am I going to do here, right? Like I'm done. It's over.
All right, as we are winding down, how should modern wrestlers balance authenticity with performance in the age of social media?
Man, I feel like I'm like the exact person to ask this question.
Exactly.
I don't know how. I feel like authenticity needs to be most of it anymore. But it's, you go back to like the old saying, like the best gimmicks are yourself turned up to 11, right? Be your authentic self, but just notch it up, right? So I wouldn't say that, I don't think there should be a balance, 50-50. I think you should be mostly authentic because, again, that's how you get that emotional buy-in, right? If you're just performing and I can tell you're just performing, I don't care. I don't care. I want to be able to convince myself that what I'm watching is real, right? And do you guys watch Stranger Things?
Yeah, I watch it.
This most recent season, I found myself in, it was not the season finale, but maybe like the episode right before it or one before that. I'm sitting here watching somebody who's supposed to be a teenager doing these trials to like go into the upside down and fight demogorgons and shit. And this supposed teenager has so much Botox in their forehead they can't make any expressions, and lip filler. And like, this is not something against, I'm not trying to say like, oh, don't get Botox or lip filler. What I'm saying is that actress, Millie Bobby Brown, playing a teenager, not looking like a teenager whatsoever, entirely took me out of it. Entirely. I was on my phone, right? And I feel like it's similar with wrestling in that, like, once I know it's a performance, I'm just not interested anymore. And like, people always say like, oh, yeah, you get the thing on people, oh, wrestling's fake, because, people who don't understand, like, it's a form of entertainment, just like the movies you watch. When you watch a movie and you watch a TV show, you're suspending your disbelief. And the reason you're able to suspend your disbelief so well in a really good movie, and the reason a really good movie wins awards, is because, damn, I felt like that was real, right? Like, though that actor, like method actors, where they, like Jim Carrey, right? When Jim Carrey played Andy Kaufman in Man on the Moon, have you seen that documentary about him playing? Mm-hmm. He was Andy Kaufman. That was authentic. It was a performance, but to Jim Carrey, that was authentic, right? So I feel like in wrestling, if you're going to perform, you at least, if it's going to be all a performance, you at least need to method act. And the fact of the matter is, most wrestlers can't do that. So you might as well be as authentic as you possibly can and just turn it up a little bit so that you get that buy-in. Because if you're not authentic, and you don't have to be a wrestling fan to be able to see it. Like, if I would go out there, like I said earlier, and start trying to be like a professor of physics, they're going to see right through me. If I go out there and try and be somebody I'm not, they're going to see through me. That's why the people who are authentic and are really themselves are the ones that connect. Like, and I think too, it's probably a lot of the reason why, Mendoza from IU feels so corny, because it doesn't feel real, right? It feels forced. It feels contrived. But for baby faces where it feels real, you know what I mean? Like, I mentioned him earlier, a guy that I wrestle with at RWA, Jimmy House. His baby face character feels authentic because it is. That's who Jimmy House is, right? He talks in his promos and stuff for how he wants to be an inspiration to little kids and be a hero to kids and stuff. That's not a gimmick. That's who Jimmy House is. And that's why whenever he does a babyface promo, it's not cringe and it's not It's not something that takes you out of it because you believe that he is that baby face. So I think authenticity is far more important than performance. But it's wrestling, so we have to embellish.
Absolutely. Couple more here, and then we'll call it. If you had a, if you had to assign one wrestling match or promo as required viewing for a student, what would it be and why?
I'd go promo Dusty Rhodes Hard Times. And it's not just because Dustin's my coach. It's because authenticity. Authenticity. When he says in that promo, my hand is reaching out and touching your hand. Goosebumps. I get them right now. That was real. He was really the son of a plumber, right? That promo, even it's a work, but if you watch that promo, it feels real. It feels authentic. I think that is, I mean, it's pro wrestling 101. It's cutting a promo 101. It's the most authentic that you can be in doing that job. So, hands down, the number one answer to that question, Dusty Rhodes, Hard Times, for sure.
Yeah, that's a damn good one. A damn good
Oh
one.
yeah.
Best heel of all time.
Best heel of all time. Ooh. See, it's a toss up for me because I kind of hate to say it because of his position now, but I think it's Triple H.
Think so?
I think it's Triple H. That heel character was so damn hateable. So damn hateable. And the only reason I say it's Triple H instead of Jake Roberts is because of Jake Roberts' destruction of his own career. I think if Jake Roberts would have had the career Jake Roberts should have had, he would have been the best heel of all time. But I think his career was, obviously cut short in unfortunate ways. But
Yeah.
the cerebral assassin, I mean, I know I'm in the minority on this one, but I feel like the cerebral assassin is the best heel of all time.
I've always, and I've lived, and I will die by my answer. My answer is Randy Orton.
And that's
more
another
specifically, more specifically, 2009 ballhead Randy Orton when he was kissing on Stephanie and punk kicking Vince McMahon and
the super lean
my gosh.
Orton. Super lean Orton.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, I get it
that
because
guy,
that man looked like a legitimate serial killer.
he did though.
A legitimate serial killer.
But I can see why you would say the cerebral assassin. I can definitely see it.
Yeah,
Most people wouldn't pick it.
Yeah, no, that's what, like, it's not a popular thing to say by any means, right? Like, and I know that, like, I could give you like, oh, here's the popular one that people will like to hear, and it'll make, but like, I just think the cerebral assassin was one of the best, if not the best, heel of all time. Like, he was so like the threat that he posed, right, and the lengths to which he was willing to go made him like, something to be feared. I mean, he hit people with a sledgehammer.
Yeah, actually, exactly what I was about to say. I was about to say that.
What are you talking about? Here's the sledgehammer.
I was actually about to say that. You've kind of said an answer to this one. I think I know your answer, but I'll ask it anyway. Storytelling or athleticism?
Storytelling.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. I don't care. I don't care how unathletic you are. I want a story. I don't care if you can do a flip. You could win a match with a tackle. If you tell a good story, I'm in.
Like I said, you already had alluded to that, but I just in case, like, maybe that wasn't it.
Yeah.
What entrance still gives you chills to this day?
When that glass shatters and those fans go nuts, I don't know how any entrance other than Stone Cold Steve Austin could be the answer to that. Like, I mean, that and really unpopular opinion, maybe not unpopular, but like probably won't get a whole lot. Grado,
Whoa.
the crowd
I
singing
did-
like a prayer. I don't know what it is, man. It's something about a grown man coming out to like a prayer and the whole crowd singing it. It gives me chills. The specifically the Goldberg one where they act like he's Goldberg. I love that shit. But that's probably just me liking it. But it's Austin. It has to be Austin. That's the one. And like, I won't lie. There is that little like, if we're removing who Terry Bollea was as a human being, like as a kid, hearing Hogan's music, like it had an effect on me as a child. I just can't look past it as an adult now, you know, as a grown man. So yeah, it's Austin. I mean, I have a whole video on my Instagram talking shit on Hogan. So
I didn't have. He had a few nice things to say about Hogan, but I most definitely did not.
no, I did not either. I did not either. And I actually TMZ took my my video and used it in their Hogan documentary where I'm saying like I said Hogan's a racist and not a good person, and they didn't even give me any credit for it. They just took my shit. In fact, they went to extra lengths to not give me credit, because if they would have just screen recorded my video, it would have had my handle on there and you could have seen that it was Jordan Tyler. They edited it to take my handle off. So they like did work to not give me credit for it and like never asked me for it or anything. But yeah, I'm not a big Hogan guy, but I mean, my childhood would have said that. But I really think, I mean, if I'm scrolling through TikTok now and I come across an old Stone Cold Steve Austin entrance or pop, I still get chills.
I'll tell you one that gives me chills. Although I cannot stand his politics, I think he's a fucking retard when it comes to politics. But when that damn gong hits, oh, just it sends chills up my spine.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, that's another one of the you know, not a fan of Mark Calloway,
Right.
but I like the Undertaker. And that's what I was saying, like, oh, we'll remove Terry Bollea from Hulk Hogan, but I honestly don't know if you can do that.
No, I just don't like Mark Calloway's politics.
Oh,
But
same.
when that gong hits, oh, it's a different feeling.
Yep. I can remember when I was a kid going to the Bryce Jordan Center in State College, Pennsylvania, and Undertaker was champion at the time and coming out. And like, man, I don't know if it was real or if I imagined it or what, but I swear to God, when he came out, you could feel cold air go past. I swear you could have. I know I felt it. I know I felt a cold breeze.
You know, I think I've heard other people saying that they've been in the same arena as the Undertaker. He's coming out and it felt like a chill come over their
Yeah.
body. I've
Yeah.
actually seen other people saying that before.
So I don't know if it was like psychosomatic because like, you know, I thought I should feel it, but like, I mean, I was a child and I still remember it. Like, oh, I felt cold. Like I felt a chill. I felt cold. Like, I don't know if it was real or not, but it was real to me. Damn it.
That's all that matters, man.
Yeah, sure.
Favorite wrestling catchphrase?
Know your role and shut your mouth.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
I've actually wondered, like, can I just start fucking using it? Because I feel like it fits my character.
Oh, is it copywritten?
I don't know if it's copywritten. I just feel like, you know, if somebody just goes start using the Rock's one of the Rock's catchphrases, I don't know.
No, I think it's copywritten. It's copywritten. That's the one thing that as content creators you definitely have to look out for is when you say certain things on the tube, like the algorithm catches it. And if it's being said certain amount of times, and I've learned this over the course of time of content creating. If it's being said a certain amount of times, they flag you. Even even if you say it, or if it's a taping or whatever. So you definitely have to be careful. You know what I'm saying? That's why I try to like behind the scenes when me and Dub are discussing the one thing that I say that we gotta keep from doing is that we don't want to play anybody's music in the background, because if you do it a bunch of times, even if it's a little distorted, if the algorithm catches it, they'll either stop the video from happening, or they'll stop the video at one point and tell you to take out this part of the video, and then they'll continue on the rest of the video. Cause that happened to me like 3 times, and I didn't even know what had happened until I read up on it later on. So yeah, so when y'all said that, I was like, no, that is definitely copywritten. Because I went through
That's
that.
copywritten. Don't say it many more times. It's copywritten, and you've reached your limit.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so you just gotta be careful with that.
Yeah, that's my favorite one. That one, and then insert any Austin. You know what I mean? Like, basically, take Austin and Rock, throw their catchphrases, any of them.
You have fun.
Know your role and shut your mouth is my favorite.
How many times did you get in trouble in school for doing a DX chop?
Oh my God, unlimited amounts of times. Not just in school. When I was a kid, I forget what happened with like my neighbor, like my adult neighbor, like the dad that lived beside me. He said some shit. I don't know what it was. I gave him a crotch chop. He chased me around another neighbor's house. I had to go through and jump the fence into my backyard and get into my house. I don't know what dude was going to do to me, but like all over a crotch chop.
That's crazy. People are crazy, man.
Yeah,
man. Two more. If wrestling disappeared tomorrow, what would replace it culturally?
Shit. I don't know. I hope not UFC. Because that shit. I hope not.
I just don't like Dana White.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, the whole culture around UFC is toxic as shit. I don't know what would replace. I don't think you could replace wrestling. Like I said before, there's nothing like it. There's absolutely nothing like wrestling. You're talking about live storytelling, acting, athleticism, speaking. It's such a combination of so many different skills that there's nothing that compares to it. I don't know that anything could ever take over wrestling. Right now, I mean, I said earlier, wrestling is drag, but like there's part of it that would hit for some people, but obviously there's a huge aspect of wrestling that wouldn't that doesn't translate, right? The violence part of it. I don't know that anything could ever take over wrestling. If wrestling disappeared, I don't know that anything could take its spot. I think it would just remain an absence.
All right. Mr. Tyler.
Doctor
Tyler.
I earned
Professor
it. I earned
Tyler.
that title.
What? Give me 2 things that you're the most proud of that you've accomplished in your. I think you said you were 37. You're 37 years on this earth.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. Just I thought you were gonna say like in wrestling. Just 2 things that I'm the most proud of that I've accomplished.
Yeah, because obviously you've done a lot of things in particular outside of wrestling. So just in your life in particular, what are some things that you're the most proud of?
I mean, like, I mean, it's probably pretty obvious to go to, but I'm most proud of finishing the PhD. I really am, because I don't know. I don't know how I got there, man. Like, I told you the whole story, you know. And it's just wild to me. And even my PhD advisor told me after I graduated, he thought I was going to quit after the first semester. So, yeah, yeah. So, and the thing is too is that was when I went to Purdue for my PhD. 8 hours away from home, and it was the first time I ever left home. When I went to college, I lived with my grandparents when I went to college, and like that was the first time I left home, was moving 8 hours away to get my PhD. And one of my biggest fears whenever I moved away was that something would happen to my grandfather or my grandmother, and my grandfather died my first semester. And like the fact that I was able to stick that out, I'm very proud of that. But I think outside of that, I think what I'm most proud of is just maintaining maintaining being true to myself and who I am as a human, and not sacrificing that for anything, no matter who the fuck you are. Right? Like my mom passed away. And my parents were divorced. I never really had a real relationship with my dad, but like, I could still have my dad in my life if I wanted to. But my dad is, he's one of these pieces of shit who does not see things the way I see them, right? In fact, I went back to my hometown for Christmas one year, and I was dating a girl who was a person of color. And he found out I went back to my hometown and I didn't go see him. He was like, "Hey, what gives?" And I was like, "I wasn't going to have you say some slick racist shit around her." And that kind of built, and I got to the point where I was like, I don't fucking need you in my life. And I've been that way with everyone. And I think that's what I'm most proud of, is that when someone interacts with me, or somebody, if you know me, you know me. Like I'm not going to be fake with you, and if I don't like you, I don't fuck with you. And one of the things that I've always said, and I will maintain it to the day I die, I will cut anyone off if they deserve to be cut off. I don't care who you are. I don't care if we're blood related. And on the opposite side of that, if I consider you family, and your family to me, right? And family to me is you can pick your family. I heard that phrase growing up a lot, like, "Oh, you can't pick your family, you just got to deal with them." Nah. I'll cut anybody off that deserves to be cut off. And I haven't changed that. Growing up, I used to get told a lot, like, "Oh, you need to respect other people's beliefs." And what I would say a lot is like, well, what if their beliefs are bullshit and harmful? I don't think I should. And I got told a lot when I was younger, like, "Oh, you're just an angsty teenager. You'll grow out of that." Well, here I am at 37, and I feel the same way. And I'm proud of that. And some people might say I didn't grow up, but I don't think that's what it is. I think it's that I had a moral compass as a young person, and I've maintained it. So I'd say, yeah, I think that's my number one thing. I'm proud of getting the PhD, but I'm most proud of the person that I've become. And I think my I want to get teary eyed here. I think my mom would be real fucking proud. I think my mom would be real fucking proud of the dude that I am now. And that's what I every day I think that, and I'm proud of that, man. I'm real proud of that.
And you should be. That is something to be very proud of, because a lot of people will grow up with that moral compass and then start seeing that the people that they're around start acting differently. So they start acting the same way. You could have easily become that person that your father was, but you didn't.
Yep.
And,
Yeah.
and I really appreciate you saying that you don't have a problem cutting people off like you cut your father off, because I'll say it real quick. I've already made it clear. My wife is white and my kids are mixed race. Well, my mother was racist towards my wife. Cut it right off. Like,
Yep.
nah,
Yep.
she shouldn't have to deal with that. I shouldn't have to deal with that with you being my mother, and my kids should not have to see that.
Yeah.
So no,
Yeah. Shouldn't have to
not.
expose her. Hell no. And the thing is, that relationship didn't last. You know what I mean? Like, and it's fine. Relationships don't last. And I don't regret that being the final straw that I cut my father off on. I don't, because the fact of the matter is that's who he is as a person. And that's not what I want that's not who I want in my life. So, yeah.
That's awesome. I'm glad I appreciate you sharing the stuff that you shared tonight. I mean, because you definitely didn't have to. You could have easily been like, no, we're going to keep it wrestling related. But I appreciate you sharing that because a lot of people wouldn't do that.
Yeah, and thank you, man. I mean, and again, that's just my authenticity of who I am. Like I'm not ashamed of anything. I'm just not. Good, bad, ugly, I don't care. Like, it's who I am as a person, and like, if you want to know who I am, like, those things are important.
Well, I am down to my last question. You got anything else you want to add, Bars?
No, I'm good. I'm just tagging in whenever necessary, whatever. I do have other questions, but y'all basically answered them already, so there's no need for me to really tap into them like that. But I definitely appreciate your insight and what you have shared tonight, because you really didn't have to. You really didn't have to, share what you've been sharing, and I appreciate your honesty. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate your honesty. Like, there's a lot of people that would, come on a podcast and just, say everything that everybody wants to hear. You did not do that. You know what I mean? You kept it a stack 100 straight like that with no chaser, and you just gave it like how you seen it, and I respect that for real. I really do. I really
Well,
do.
thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is much appreciated because I mean, there's a few guys that we've talked to that just give like, the normal wrestling style answer, and then they really don't want to dig too much into their life, which is fine. That's their prerogative. But I am glad that I actually, because like I said, I was just scrolling on Instagram one day, and I think I was on, because we have our personal Instagram pages, and then we have the Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle Instagram page.
Yeah.
So I was scrolling on my own when I ran across yours. I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna get over here. That way he knows that we're legit, and I'm gonna send him a message. and
Yeah,
and
man.
and I'm certainly glad I did because man, the honesty, the truth, the sharing your story, not just your wrestling story, but like your life story, like it means a lot to me to hear that I have an ally out in this world outside of my wife that I could probably just hit up on Instagram. Hey man, I'm having a problem with this. What can I do? And just get an honest answer from you. You know what I mean? Instead of some BS.
And that's what, man, and that makes me feel good. You know what I mean? Because like, I mean, yeah, I play an asshole in the ring, but like, and this is who I am. You know what I mean? And I when you guys messaged me, I was like, I knew I was going to give you. I mean, I'm going to pull the curtain back because you guys, what you saw and what caught your interest was like that's my authenticity, man, and that's what that's that's what I think it makes me me is that I don't care to try and like pretend that like I am something I'm not, or that I don't care to hide, the ugly parts, and And part of that is that from a lot of people I've gotten that like as feedback, like, man, I really appreciate how real you are. And like when you get that kind of feedback, you just want to keep doing it, you know? And at the same time, it's almost like I don't know how else to be, you know, like I'm I'm only here for who knows how long. Why the fuck would I want to act like something like someone else? You know, and even though the wrestling stuff is like in to some degree you are kind of acting like someone else because you're playing a character. The fact of the matter is that character that I've built is built on the back of 30 years of experiences that made me into who I am. And if you guys want to give me your time and give me a platform to sit and talk about wrestling and who Jordan Tyler is, well, then you guys deserve to know exactly why Jordan Tyler is who Jordan Tyler is.
And like we've said, we both said it, and it's so much appreciated. You know, I mean, we've gone for what, 2.5 hours, maybe.
Right?
I mean, we've gotten some wrestling stuff in, but we pride ourselves in not just talking about wrestling and sports in general, but we also like to pull back the curtain on our own lives too. You know, I've
Yeah.
told stories of the racism I've dealt with here in Oklahoma. He's talked about some of the stuff that he's dealt with growing up, you know, his mom passing away from cancer not that long ago. You know, he's opened up about that. You know,
Yep.
I haven't told anybody what I just said on here about me cutting my own mother off because of the racism that my wife was dealing with when it came to her. I've never told anybody that. But I'm like, what a better time than now? Like, he literally just opened up about cutting his own father off. Why can't I say this is what I did also?
Yeah, man. We're humans. You know what I mean? This
Yeah.
is the part of being human. Being human is messy. Being human is imperfect. And I think one of the beautiful things about being human is whenever you notice those moments where you're like, man, this is a safe spot where I can open up. You know, I can be vulnerable and be safe. And that's something too that I think, I mean, that we don't want to go down, but I think young men really need to learn that to be a man, to be masculine is to be able to be vulnerable and to be emotional and to be soft. And when I say soft, I don't mean weak. I mean soft and as in nurturing and holding space for other people. And when I say other people, I mean other people because I think a lot of times young men especially have this natural inclination to be like, "Oh, you only mean with women, right?" No, man. No, I don't mean with other women because we as men need to hold space for each other's emotions and understand that like we have emotions and we need support because when we don't do that we end up with situations like we're seeing now because those men that don't receive that softness and that have been forced to not acknowledge their feelings and instead of the feelings that they actually feel coming out what they are because it makes them feel like they might be less masculine, they just turn it into anger. That's how we get into the positions that we're in today, where we're seeing the country run by and supported by a lot of men who really just like need to get to be a little more soft and a little more in touch with their emotions and okay with being vulnerable and stop with all the bullshit masculinity over the top machismo bullshit.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, we always end every show with this one question. And that question is, if you could see anybody on the Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle podcast, who would that person be? But Jordan Tyler, Dr. Jordan Tyler, has to help us get that person on the show.
Ooh, who would it be? You know what? I'm going to go with somebody who deserves a little bit more of a spotlight than she's getting right now. She's getting more of it, but she's, I think, one of the best independent wrestlers on the scene, not just for women, but as a whole. And that's Caitlin Murray. I think Caitlin Murray should be on the podcast.
Caitlin Murray.
Caitlin Murray.
Marie.
Marie. Yeah, Caitlin Murray.
Make sure my son didn't run off with my pens. Caitlin. How does she spell her first name?
Kaitlyn.
You said what did you say again? You said K
Kaitl
Kaitl.
and then Marie, Marie.
Okay, it says Caitlin Marie Pro. That's her. Okay,
Yep.
all right.
She's been killing it on the indies for a while now. She just competed in one of the I think it was one of the women's WWID tournaments for like one of their titles or something. I mean, she's somebody. She was when I first started training at High Spots with George South. She was the first friend I made in wrestling, and she's been one of my best friends ever since then. And I'll tell you what, man, that girl she's dropped like 150, 200 pounds. She's works her fucking ass off. I think she deserves recognition.
Okay.
Awesome. And you know how to get a hold of her for us?
Oh yeah.
I'm assuming yes, because you said she's one of your best friends.
Yeah.
And then I'll also because I'm the one that typically sends out the emails or the messages about coming on the show. So I'll also shoot her a message or email her, whichever one, or if not both, to see if we can get her set up on the show too.
Yeah, and I'll give another option too. Movie Mike. I talked about him a lot.
Yeah, you talked about him a lot, and Jimmy House.
Yeah, Movie Mike, Jimmy House.
Okay, I'm following him right now as you speak.
All right, I got those three: Caitlin Marie, Movie Mike, and Jimmy House. I got them written down in my fancy notebook here. Dr. Tyler, is there anything you would like to close out the show with?
Man, I don't think I think I've probably spilled just about all of it at this point, man. I don't know if there's anything I could close the show with other than read a book, pay attention to what experts tell you. If somebody is an expert in something and they tell you you're wrong, listen to them. Shut your mouth. Stop telling people who are experts in shit that you know more than them.
And that's definitely true in today's political climate.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's stop it with the anti-intellectualism. There we go. That's what. Yeah.
Yeah, that could go in so many different directions. That we could we could keep the show going for about another hour just off that topic alone. Shit.
For real.
Well, Dr. Tyler, you are more than welcome to come back on the show anytime you want to.
Hell yeah, man. Love to.
And we've given you all your flowers. Appreciate you coming on the show. Appreciate you opening up, being vulnerable with us, and making it okay for us to be vulnerable back to you and on the show. And man, you don't know how much it is appreciated. And if you ever, since you're in Texas, if you're ever up in Oklahoma, let me know, because I'm in Oklahoma. Sure. I'll come check it out.
I'm only here till about June, but then I'm back in Raleigh. But for sure.
Absolutely. Bars, you want to close us out?
We appreciate Dr. Jordan Tyler for being in the building with us. We appreciate the authenticity. We appreciate everything. And we hope that this is not your last time being on the pod with us, because we definitely enjoyed it. We hope you guys out there have enjoyed it. So with that being said, Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle Podcast will be back with another one. Sayonara.
Yo, Robert Mason here, and the fire in this arena is unreal.
And I'm Molly Finwick. We are the Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle commentary team, bringing nonstop action. And that wraps up another explosive edition of the podcast. Join us next week as the road to the championship continues.
This is the Ring Ropes and Turnbuckle Podcast, your home for real pro wrestling talk.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, we the champs. Thanks for listening. We gone.